2 years ago, on a dark and stormy night, Consort Ning gave birth to a healthy baby girl. But the imperial astronomer declared the birth a terrible omen for the nation. Courtiers knelt outside the hall, begging the emperor to execute both mother and child to protect the country. In the end, the emperor pointed his sword at the crowd, and declaring them all tainted by the bad omen, had every person present that day slaughtered. He then banished Consort Ning and her daughter to the cold palace. After that, no one ever dared to speak of them again. Now, at just 2 years old, Cha-Cha was already a master at catching fish. One day, she was happily showing off a fish she'd caught in the cold palace pond. On the bank, her handmaiden cried out anxiously, "Princess, please come out, you'll catch a cold." But Cha-Cha, mesmerized by a big fish, decided to go for one more. With a mighty leap, and a whoosh, she had it. But when she climbed out of the water, her big sister Xiangchao was gone. Cha-Cha wandered around looking for Xiangchao, but soon realized she was lost. Suddenly, she saw a man in magnificent clothes sitting up ahead. A handsome face came into view. "Wow, this eunuch is so pretty," she thought. Tiptoeing over, she tugged on the emperor's sleeve and asked in her sweet, high-pitched voice, "Mr. Eunuch, have you seen my big sister Xiangchao?" The great tyrant, however, simply lifted her up by the collar. "Since when are stray cats and dogs allowed to run loose in my imperial garden?" A nearby eunuch heard him and rushed over, dropping to his knees. "Your Majesty, forgive me. The child is so small, your servant didn't even notice her. I've disturbed your rest." Furious, the emperor tossed Cha-Cha to the eunuch, Li Yu. "Throw her in the pond, then go get your punishment." Terrified, Cha-Cha started wailing, "Don't kill me!" She struggled in Li Yu's arms until she wriggled free and landed on the ground. She stood there, staring blankly at the tyrant, thinking, "Why is Gugu so angry? Is he hungry? I get grumpy when I'm hungry too." A moment later, Cha-Cha's face lit up. She held up her fish basket. "Gugu, you can have this fish to eat." The emperor stared at her, utterly bewildered, as Cha-Cha pulled out a huge fish and tossed it at his feet. Li Yu started to scold her, but the emperor stopped him and ordered him to take the fish. With an icy expression, he said, "I'll accept this fish. But next time you go fishing, bring an adult with you, or you'll drown." Staring into his terrifying eyes, Cha-Cha backed away nervously. "Why does it feel like this eunuch is cursing me?" The emperor reached out a hand, about to ask, "What's your name?" But Cha-Cha thought he wanted another fish. She quickly waved her little hands. "Gugu, this fishy is for Mommy. I can't give it to you. I'll catch you another one next time." Just then, Li Yu leaned in and whispered in the emperor's ear, "Your Majesty, it's getting late. You have a meeting with the Minister of Personnel and must pay your respects to the Empress Dowager later." While the two were talking, Cha-Cha grabbed her basket and ran. "If I don't go now, Gugu will take my other fishy." She ran so fast that she tripped on a stone and started to cry. But even in pain, she didn't forget to pick up her fish. Cradling the big fish, her eyes filled with tears, she thought, "Where am I? I'm lost again." Suddenly, she heard big sister Xiangchao crying for help nearby. Xiangchao was being used as a human target by Prince Xiaoyao. Just then, the prince heard a small voice shout, "You big meanie!" He looked down to see Cha-Cha, neck craned, pointing a tiny finger at him. "Don't you bully my big sister Xiangchao." Prince Xiaoyao looked exasperated. "Where did you come from, you little fatty? Interrupting my archery practice is a serious crime." Xiangchao rushed forward. "Your Highness, if you're angry, take it out on me. Please don't hurt Princess Cha-Cha." Hearing Xiangchao call her princess, Xiaoyao was shocked. His Majesty only has sons, no daughters. Where did a princess come from? When Cha-Cha heard him call her a little fatty, she got angry and said in the fiercest toddler voice she could manage, "I'm not a little fatty. I just have a lot of meat." Looking at the adorable little meatball, Prince Xiaoyao couldn't resist, reaching out and pinching her cheek. The pinch made the little girl's eyes well up with tears. "Let me go." Xiaoyao let go, still teasing her. "This little fatty sure is sensitive. One pinch and your face is all red." Cha-Cha rubbed her cheek, thinking, "You meanie, you've called me a little fatty 3 times now. I have to get you back." Just then, Prince Xiaoyao gently patted her head. "What are you spacing out for, little fatty?" Cha-Cha summoned all her strength and yelled, "You big, ugly, stinky pig!" The words had barely left her mouth before Xiaoyao lifted her up, staring right at her. "What did you call me?" Even the nearby guards broke into a cold sweat. It's over. Knowing the prince's temper, he's going to turn this little girl into a pincushion. Xiangchao immediately fell to her knees and begged, "Your Highness, the princess is just a child. Please spare her this once." But Cha-Cha balled up her little fists and went into a rage, flailing at Prince Xiaoyao while shouting, "You stinky pig, let me go!" To everyone's surprise, Prince Xiaoyao burst out laughing. The guards were stunned. What is wrong with the terrifying, sadistic Prince Xiaoyao today? He got insulted and didn't even fly off the handle. He gently set Cha-Cha down and poked her cheek. Little fatty, if someone calls you princess, then tell me, which palace are you from? He thought to himself, I've never heard of His Majesty having a daughter. If she's not a real princess, I'm just going to stuff her in a sack and take her home. You don't see many cute girls like this in the palace. Cha-Cha puffed out her chest proudly. The little princess of the cold palace. Xiaoyao was stunned. So she was the daughter of Consort Ning, the one His Majesty had banished to the cold palace. He picked her up again for a closer look. If you ignore all the baby fat, you really do look like your mother, and that mouth, oh, it's identical to His Majesty's. Cha-Cha, still clutching her fish, pointed at him. Don't call me fat again! I'm just playing at being chubby, you're just seriously ugly. I happen to be one of the 4 most handsome men in the Yanqi dynasty. Little fatty, being so rude to me comes with a price. Suddenly Cha-Cha jammed her finger up his nose and said sweetly, I'm not afraid of you. The pain made Xiaoyao drop her instantly. His guards rushed forward in alarm. Cha-Cha took the opportunity to make a face at him, then grabbed Xiangchao's hand and ran for it. Back at the cold palace, she immediately started getting a fire ready to grill fish for her mother, smudging her face with ash until she looked like a little chimney sweep. Just then, Consort Ning emerged, her body weak. Cha-Cha rushed over to tell her she was grilling a fishy for her. You mustn't go fishing in the pond anymore, Ning said with concern. It's very dangerous, and Mommy worries. Cha-Cha looked hurt. Mommy is sick. I just wanted to get fish for Mommy to eat. Xiangchao chimed in. The little princess has been so determined to catch a fish to help you recover. On the way back, we even ran into Prince Xiaoyao. If it wasn't for the princess standing up for me, I'm afraid I would have been in serious trouble. Ning asked Cha-Cha worriedly. Did Prince Xiaoyao bully you? Cha-Cha beamed, bragging about how she not only called the mean uncle names, but also poked him in the nose. Ning was astonished. She could hardly imagine the fearsome Prince Xiaoyao getting a finger up his nose. She warned Cha-Cha that it was dangerous outside and that she should stay away from people like him from now on. Cha-Cha promised her mother and went back to grilling her fish. Sitting there, she thought about the fish she'd given Gugu and wondered if he would grill it too. That Gugu speaks so gently, not like that stinky pig who called me a little fatty. Cha-Cha sighed dramatically. Why are people so different? Meanwhile, the Tyrant Emperor was on his way to the Sinning Palace to pay his respects to the Empress Dowager. He ran into Prince Xiaoyao, who was on his way to do the same and refused to move aside. The Emperor laid into him with a few sarcastic remarks, and Xiaoyao reluctantly let him pass. Just then, Xiaoyao noticed the eunuch Li Yu was carrying a single fish. He thought, the little fatty had one and now my royal brother has one. Is this the new father-daughter street style? The 2 brothers went in to see the Empress Dowager together. Xiaoyao teased, Li Yu, that fish must be heavy. Why don't you give it to me? I can hold it for you. Absolutely not, Your Highness. This fish was a gift to His Majesty from a 2-year-old girl in the back hills. His Majesty treasures it and ordered me to guard it with my life. Hearing this, Xiaoyao guessed, that 2-year-old girl must be the little fatty. So my brother has met her, but he probably doesn't know she's his daughter, does he? The 2 of them greeted the Empress Dowager. The Emperor asked about her health, but she immediately changed the subject, dabbing at her eyes. If I don't get to hold a granddaughter soon, I don't think I'll have many days left. I recently watched a play called King of the Sea, and it taught me that if you cast a wide enough net, you're bound to catch a granddaughter. Starting today, you need to visit your consorts more often. If the women in the palace don't suit you, I'll arrange for a new selection of candidates immediately. Xiaoyao chimed in playfully. Mother, even if you want a granddaughter, you have to consider my brother's health. What if he wears himself out and still doesn't produce a princess? The Emperor's face darkened. He quickly told his mother, if you want a granddaughter, you should pressure our 3rd brother here. Maybe he'll get lucky and give you your first granddaughter. Seeing the Emperor pass the buck to him, Xiaoyao quickly made an excuse and slipped away. As he walked out, he muttered to himself, my brother actually tried to set me up. Fine. I'll just use his daughter to win over the Empress Dowager. Serves him right for not even remembering he has one. After leaving Sinning Palace, Xiaoyao was wandering aimlessly when he overheard a eunuch muttering foul language, cursing about how annoying it was to deliver meals to the cold palace. He then watched in disgust as the eunuch spat into the food. You've got some nerve, Xiaoyao's voice cut through the air, scaring the eunuch half to death. To tamper with your master's food and curse them. Let's see how I deal with you. He ordered his men to seize the eunuch and force him to eat every last bite of the defiled meal. Afterward, Xiaoyao made his way to the cold palace. From outside, he could hear Cha-Cha playing hide-and-seek. Peeking through a crack in the door, he saw the little girl run out of energy, her stomach rumbling loudly. Hearing the conversation between her and the maid, he realized that the princess had only eaten a little soup. So her mother could have more, and told her mother she was full when in fact she was starving. Xiao Yao's heart clenched. The little fatty is going hungry. He immediately sent a guard to get some food. Just then, Cha-Cha heard a knock at the door. Food's here, she thought. But the person who appeared was Prince Xiao Yao. She pointed a finger at him. You're the stinky pig. Seeing the prince, Xiang Chao quickly hid Cha-Cha behind her. Your Highness, please don't hold a grudge against a child. If you must blame someone, blame me. Consort Ning heard the commotion and came out. Xiang Chao, get behind me. Cha-Cha, however, wouldn't stay still. Peeking out from behind Xiang Chao, she stared with her big eyes and pointed at Xiao Yao. Mommy, that's the mean uncle who bullied me and big sister Xiang Chao. She then added defiantly, Stinky pig, I'm the one who poked your nose. Don't you dare bully my mommy. When Xiao Yao saw Consort Ning, he thought, this woman has been locked in the cold palace for over 2 years, yet she's still so graceful and composed. No wonder my brother was so taken with her. He bowed respectfully. Yesterday, I was practicing my sword in the back hills and came across an interesting little child, so I sought her out today. I hope you are not offended, my lady. Ning replied politely, If you're not mistaken, the chubby child you speak of is indeed my daughter, Cha-Cha. If she has offended you in any way, I apologize on her behalf. Xiao Yao waved his hand. No, it's nothing. My brother sent you both to the cold palace 2 years ago. I imagine you must have suffered a great deal. Ning's expression was serene. His Majesty has already banished me to the cold palace. I'm well aware of how the world works. I will accept whatever consequences come my way. If there is nothing else, Your Highness, please leave, lest you invite trouble upon yourself. Xiao Yao smiled arrogantly. Have you ever seen me afraid of anyone in this palace? To be honest, I came today for the little princess. Just then a guard announced, the imperial meal has arrived. Xiao Yao had a huge spread of delicious food brought in, explaining it was an apology for frightening the princess yesterday. He promised that from now on, the imperial kitchen would no longer neglect the cold palace. Seeing all the food, Cha-Cha's eyes lit up and she started drooling. Xiao Yao said with a doting smile, Go on, eat. I had this prepared especially for you. Cha-Cha turned, wrapped her arms around Xiao Yao's neck and planted a big, loud kiss on his cheek. Xiao Yao was stunned. What just happened? Did that little fatty just kiss me? He smiled at Ning. I'm quite fond of this child. I wonder if you would permit me to take her with me for a day or two. Ning assumed Cha-Cha would be too shy to go with a stranger. But Xiao Yao leaned in and whispered, Your uncle has lots of snacks, and you can bring them back with you. The moment Cha-Cha heard that, and that she could bring snacks back for her mother, she immediately agreed. And just like that, Xiao Yao left with Cha-Cha in his arms. He was still basking in the glow of her kiss, feeling quite pleased with himself that he didn't notice when Cha-Cha was chasing a butterfly into the distance. When he looked again, the little fatty was gone. Meanwhile, in the imperial garden, the emperor was yelling at his ministers. They had failed to complete a task he'd assigned, and in his fury, he declared he would have them all killed. He shoved a table over, sending plates of snacks scattering across the ground. Just then, he heard a small voice nearby. Fly, butterfly, wait for me! Cha-Cha came running into the garden after a butterfly, but stopped short when she saw the snacks on the ground. Her eyes went wide and she scurried over. I found fruit today, and now there are lots of snacks too, she chirped, completely ignoring the terrified people around her. The emperor turned to Li Yu. Did something just fly past? It looked familiar. Li Yu hurried over to investigate. Which palace do you serve in? Don't you know you can't just wander in here? You'll lose your head for this. Cha-Cha looked up, disappointed. These snacks fell on the ground. Can't Cha-Cha eat them? As usual, her mind was only on food. But the emperor was thinking, it's the little girl who gave me the fish. First fishing, now picking up snacks. Just how much does this little fatty love to eat? He told Cha-Cha to look up. When she turned and saw him, she clapped her hands happily. Mr. Eunuch, we meet again. This made the kneeling minister's blood run cold. Is this little girl trying to get her head chopped off? She just called His Majesty a eunuch. The emperor didn't get angry. In fact, he looked pleased. You remember me? He asked gently. You took one of my fish, Cha-Cha said, stuffing snacks into her pockets. I remember very clearly. So you want me to give you a fish back? Cha-Cha tried to act calm. Okay. But inside she was thinking, hurry, give me back my fish. Li Yu was shocked. His Majesty accepted her fish, and instead of being grateful, this child actually expects him to pay her back. The emperor said with a fond smile, Come here. The ministers below were about to have a collective heart attack. They've served in the Yanqi court for years, and have never seen such a smile or heard such a gentle tone from His Majesty. Good heavens, this is a historic moment. Cha-Cha walked over to the emperor and they looked at each other. Staring at the handsome eunuch, she thought, I wish he were my daddy. Suddenly, the emperor grabbed her by her short little legs and gave her a shake. The snacks in her pockets rained down onto the ground. A dizzy Cha-Cha was set back on her feet. So what about all the snacks you took from me? My snacks are the finest in the land, made by the imperial chef. That should be worth one of your fish, right? Cha-Cha waved her chubby hands. Cha-Cha picked up these snacks. They don't belong to Mr. Eunuch. You can't be a meanie. She then held out a piece of fruit. Mr. Eunuch, Cha-Cha just picked this over there. It's the best fruit I've ever eaten. You can have it. Li Yu quickly intervened. Absolutely not, he thought frantically. His Majesty hates sour things. The last time the governor of Shanxi asked him to taste their special vinegar, he was beaten half to death. This little girl is done for. The emperor took the fruit and saw it was a sour apricot. But to everyone's amazement, the emperor didn't refuse. He accepted the princess's gift. The ministers couldn't believe their eyes. The emperor looked at Cha-Cha. Are you trying to trade one sour apricot for all my snacks? Cha-Cha thought he wanted more of her apricots. She looked reluctant, but she finally pulled another one from her pocket and offered it to him. Seeing the look on her face, the emperor could see tears welling in her eyes. He thought she must really love to eat. To feel like losing one sour apricot is like losing the whole world. He ordered Li Yu to bring a box of snacks from the imperial kitchen. When Cha-Cha saw the box overflowing with treats, her eyes nearly popped out of her head. These are all yours now, the emperor told her. Are you happy? Yes, and I can put my fruits in here too, she said, starting to pick up the scattered apricots from the ground. The emperor slapped her hand away. These fruits look disgusting. Throw them out. Cha-Cha looked heartbroken. If I throw them away, Cha-Cha won't have any fruits to eat. She picked them up again and carefully tucked them into her pocket. It was then that the emperor noticed a small lamb embroidered on her pocket. He thought, was she born in the year of the sheep? That would make her 3 years old now. Come to think of it, I had a daughter once. If she hadn't been declared a national disaster, she would be about this age. He gently stroked her head and said softly, Little fatty. Hearing that nickname, Cha-Cha's face fell. I'm not a little fatty, she declared, lifting up her shirt to show the emperor her chubby belly. This is just cute. Her move completely charmed the ministers. She's so adorable. I want to take her home and raise her myself. The emperor quickly pulled her shirt down and tapped her on the forehead with a fond look. You're not allowed to lift your shirt up in front of strangers anymore. And you can't show your tummy to just anyone, especially not men. Do you understand? Of course, our Cha-Cha was only 3 years old. She had no idea what he was talking about. The emperor picked her up and patiently explained, a girl's body shouldn't be seen by strange men or even boys. You can't just lift up your shirt. The parts of your body covered by clothes have to stay covered, understand? Cha-Cha covered her eyes with her hands. Covered, she said cutely. The emperor moved her hands away and explained seriously that she had to keep her tummy covered, that any place with clothes on it shouldn't be shown. Did you understand what I said? The ministers below were speechless. Amazing. His Majesty hates children. Even his own sons have never received this kind of treatment. That look in his eyes, those gestures, is this an imposter emperor? He's always so strict with his children. If he finds them slacking, he makes them kneel in the hot sun and constantly punishes them by making them copy texts. But with this little girl, it seems like every rule has an exception. Cha-Cha replied happily, I understand. Tummy has to be covered. The emperor poked her little belly. Good that you understand. Cha-Cha was ticklish and giggled. Seeing how cute she was, the emperor couldn't help but poke her again. Suddenly, Cha-Cha's brow furrowed. The emperor asked with concern, What's wrong? Did I poke you too hard? Cha-Cha tugged on his clothes and said in a tiny voice, Baba, need to Baba. The emperor looked completely baffled. What does that mean? What on earth does this little fatty want? A eunuch at his side quickly stepped forward to explain that it was what small children said when they needed to relieve themselves. He hoped to get a chance to hold the cute little girl, but the emperor shot him a cold glare. Then, the emperor picked up Cha-Cha and walked off with her himself. The intimate gesture left the eunuch stunned. Your Majesty, wake up! Have you ever been this attentive to your own children? A little while later, the emperor came out holding Cha-Cha's hand. Feel better now that you've gone, Baba? He asked warmly. But Cha-Cha shook her head. No. What's wrong? He asked, suddenly tense. Cha-Cha patted her tummy with a pained look on her face. Tummy hungry? The emperor immediately took Cha-Cha to his personal residence, the Hall of Mental Cultivation. Meanwhile, Prince Xiaoyao was still looking for the little fatty. He saw her and the emperor heading toward the hall and thought, my brother is so unpredictable. If the little fatty accidentally angers him, she could be in real danger. I'd better go tell our mother she has a granddaughter. After all, he still listens to her. When Cha-Cha saw the huge feast laid out, her eyes lit up and she started drooling with delight. This is yummy, and that's yummy too, she exclaimed. The emperor even fed her himself. The adorable sight made the maids nearby swoon. I wish I could take her home. It turned out that Cha-Cha and the emperor both loved the same dish. After a few bites, a eunuch came to clear it away according to palace rules. But Cha-Cha quickly grabbed his arm. "Goo-goo," she pleaded, "I want more of this." The emperor waved his hand, telling the eunuch to leave the dish. To let Cha-Cha eat more, he broke his own 3-bite rule. So what if this little bun loves it? I can go without for 3 months if I have to. Cha-Cha threw her arms around the emperor's neck. "Mr. Eunuch is the best," she said sweetly. Just then, the Empress Dowager arrived. "Where is my granddaughter?" the Empress Dowager demanded as she walked in. Cha-Cha, trying to copy the emperor, attempted a formal greeting, peeking at him to get the moves right. The Empress Dowager went straight to her. "My precious, so you're my granddaughter? Can you say imperial grandmother?" Cha-Cha obliged in her tiny voice. "Imperial grandmother." The Empress Dowager was delighted. But as soon as she picked Cha-Cha up, she heard her stomach growl. Cha-Cha reached out a hand. "Goo-goo, I want to eat more," she cried, already thinking about taking leftovers back for her mother. The Empress Dowager thought Cha-Cha was calling the emperor a dog and told him to teach her to say imperial father. The emperor looked embarrassed and rubbed his head. "This little fatty is just someone I found in the imperial garden. I don't even know which palace she's from. She could be anyone's child." The Empress Dowager was aghast. "What? This adorable little girl isn't my granddaughter?" She grabbed the emperor's shoulder. "Son, you must snatch her up and make her ours." The Empress Dowager was clearly smitten. The two of them then watched as Cha-Cha devoured her food. Being a good daughter, after she finished, she made sure to pack some up for her mother. The emperor thought, "Who is this little fatty's mother? I can't shake the feeling that this child is familiar, that she looks just like someone." Her expression and features reminded him of Consort Ning. Just then, Prince Xiaoyao called out from the doorway, "Little fatty!" Cha-Cha immediately ran and jumped into his arms. The sight stunned the emperor and the Empress Dowager. "Third brother," the emperor demanded, "what is your relationship with this child? Why is she so close to you?" Xiaoyao replied with a hint of provocation. "It's because Cha-Cha likes me, isn't that right, Cha-Cha?" The little girl hugged his neck and answered with a huge smile. Like. Seeing Cha-Cha so affectionate with Xiaoyao, the emperor actually got angry. As the two brothers stared each other down, sparks seemed to fly. Even Li Yu could see that the emperor was jealous. "Third brother," the emperor said, his face dark. "Could this be your daughter?" To needle him, Xiaoyao said, "Of course she is." The Empress Dowager burst out laughing. "How could this child be his daughter? They look nothing alike. If you ask me, she looks just like the emperor." She took Cha-Cha into her arms, secretly thrilled. "The most important thing is to find a father for this little girl." She asked Cha-Cha, "Of these two, who would you like to be your daddy?" The Empress Dowager held Cha-Cha up, asking her to choose one of them to be her daddy. Cha-Cha looked around, confused. The Empress Dowager smiled kindly and pointed at the emperor. "Would you like him to be your daddy? He's the emperor, you know." Cha-Cha stared at the emperor for a long moment, then suddenly blurted out, "Fart!" Prince Xiaoyao couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing. "The emperor farts? This little fatty is too cute." The Empress Dowager picked up a snack and patiently explained, "Not fart, it's emperor. My sweet darling, would you like the emperor to be your daddy?" Cha-Cha remembered what her mother had told her. You can't just call anyone daddy. Just then, the Empress Dowager dangled a piece of cake in front of her, tempting the little foodie. "My sweet, if you pick one of these two to be your daddy, you'll have delicious snacks like this every single day." The moment Cha-Cha heard delicious snacks, she started swallowing hard. Snacks every day? Mommy can have yummy food, too. Seeing this tactic worked, Prince Xiaoyao held up a large platter of treats. "I have some over here, too." Meanwhile, the emperor looked nervous, worried the little fatty would choose Xiaoyao. Cha-Cha stared blankly at the two men. Suddenly, she reached her arms out toward the emperor and said, "Hold me!" The emperor was a little flustered, but his heart was pounding with excitement. Cha-Cha's choice stunned Prince Xiaoyao. That's all it took? Could this be the legendary power of blood ties? The Empress Dowager roared with laughter and handed Cha-Cha to the emperor. "Hold your little treasure!" In the emperor's arms, Cha-Cha called out in a tiny voice, "Daddy!" The sound melted the emperor's heart. He thought, "I have so many sons, and I hear daddy countless times a day. But this time is different." Watching the heartwarming scene, the Empress Dowager was incredibly moved. No matter how you look at it, the emperor and my sweet girl are cut from the same cloth. This is truly a granddaughter sent from heaven. Prince Xiaoyao, on the other hand, looked like he was about to cry. "My happiness is dead. I worked so hard to win over the little fatty, only to lose everything the moment she met her real dad." Just then, Cha-Cha yawned. "Sleepy. In the blink of an eye, she was fast asleep in the emperor's arms. As the emperor turned to leave with her, he said, "Since the little fatty is asleep, mother and third brother, you should go home. We don't want too many people here to disturb her." Xiao Yao's face twisted in frustration. He was about to call the emperor heartless, but the empress dowager clapped a hand over his mouth. "Tell me as soon as my granddaughter wakes up." The emperor tried to put Cha-Cha down, but she was clinging tightly to his neck. Li Yu saw an opportunity to hold the adorable little girl, but the emperor shot him a glare that made him freeze. And so the emperor held Cha-Cha in his arms, watching her sleep with a gentle expression. Li Yu carefully reminded him, "In a little while, the Minister of Rights will be here for an audience." Before he could finish, the emperor cut him off. "I'm not seeing anyone today." He then shooed Li Yu out of the room. Li Yu quickly shut the door, muttering to himself, "This is the first time since His Majesty took the throne that he slacked off on his duties, and it's all to watch a little girl sleep." In her dreams, Cha-Cha saw mountains of delicious food and, without realizing it, started nibbling on the emperor's chest as if it were a chicken leg. When the emperor woke up to go to morning court, he found the little fatty gone, with only a lamb-embroidered pouch left behind. He ordered his men to search every corner of the palace, but they couldn't find her. In a rage, he threatened to have everyone beheaded. Li Yu timidly pointed out that besides the main palaces, there was one place they hadn't looked: the Cold Palace. The emperor fell silent for a moment. "So, it seems that little fatty really might be my own daughter, but she was also the one the imperial astronomer declared would bring ruin to the nation." He couldn't think about that now. He quickly got up and prepared to head to the Cold Palace. Over in Yuehi Palace, Consort Shu was speaking to Consort Hua with a sly tone. "His Majesty is looking for a 3-year-old girl. Everyone in the palace is saying it's Consort Ning's child from the Cold Palace." Consort Hua scoffed. "So what? What trouble can one little child cause?" Consort Shu began to stir the pot. "With Consort Ning's methods, if she makes a comeback, she'll be whispering in His Majesty's ear, day and night. If that affects the third prince, it would be a terrible loss." Consort Hua slammed her teacup down. "As long as I'm in this harem, Consort Ning can forget about escaping my grasp, let alone hurting my son. Even if His Majesty is bewitched by her, the entire court will protest. I refuse to believe he would go against all his ministers just for her." Seeing her plan had worked, Consort Shu smiled sweetly. "Sister is truly wise." She thought to herself, "Just a little push, and Consort Hua is ready for a fight. I'll let her and Consort Ning battle it out, and I can just sit back and reap the rewards." Meanwhile, Cha-Cha was chasing a butterfly, shouting, "Butterfly, wait for me!" She ran right into Prince Xiao Yao, who was also looking for her. Cha-Cha pointed at the fluttering butterfly and said in her little voice, "Can't catch the pretty butterfly?" Xiao Yao stroked her head. "Let your royal uncle help you." He pulled out a dagger and, with a swish, pinned the butterfly to a tree. When he brought it over to show her, the pretty butterfly wasn't moving anymore. Cha-Cha burst into tears, crying her eyes out. No matter what Xiao Yao did, he couldn't console her. Just then, the emperor and his entourage were on their way to the Cold Palace. When he saw his daughter crying, he shoved Prince Xiao Yao aside and rushed to Cha-Cha. "What's wrong? Who bullied you? Father will get revenge for you." Seeing the tears streaming down Cha-Cha's face broke the emperor's heart. He gently scooped her into his arms and ordered his men to tie up Prince Xiao Yao. With tears in her eyes, Cha-Cha held up the butterfly. "Uncle Xiao San helped me catch the butterfly, but the butterfly died, so I cried." Xiao Yao looked helpless. "Royal brother, can you not be so dramatic? You didn't even figure out what happened before you had me arrested. If this is how you run the country, how many innocent people have died at your hands?" At the same time, he was secretly pleased. This little fatty really does care about me. The emperor had barely gotten to hold his daughter before she started wiggling to get down. It turned out she wanted to bury her butterfly friend. Seeing his daughter's soft, delicate skin, the emperor's heart ached, and he started digging a grave for the butterfly himself. The sight left both Li Yu and Prince Xiao Yao speechless. The kind-hearted Cha-Cha not only made a gravestone for her butterfly friend, but also pressed her palms together in a silent prayer for it. The emperor watched her, his heart filled with pride. "I can't believe I have such a kind daughter." At that moment, the restrained Prince Xiao Yao spoke up impatiently. "Royal brother, since everything is cleared up, can you have your guards let me go? Kneeling like this really hurts." But the emperor ordered him to stay put and reflect on his actions. The considerate Cha-Cha even pleaded for him, patting her own chubby legs. "Uncle Xiao San's leggy hurts." The emperor held Cha-Cha and glanced at Xiao Yao. "Even my daughter is more sensible than you." He gently patted Cha-Cha's bottom. "It's okay. Let's go eat with Daddy." The moment she heard there was food, Cha-Cha started clapping her hands excitedly. Prince Xiao Yao could only watch as the loving father-daughter pair walked away. As evening fell, Consort Shu happened to be passing through the garden and saw Xiao Yao still kneeling. She asked him why, and he replied calmly, his eyes closed. I made my royal brother's daughter cry, so he's punishing me by making me kneel here and think. Consort Shu's face twisted in thought. Daughter? So that little girl really is the bastard child Consort Ning had with his majesty. He publicly humiliated Prince Xiao Yao for his daughter. She put on a smile. It's not that serious. I'll go speak to his majesty and ask him to let you off. But Xiao Yao refused. There's no need, my lady. I think my brother's punishment is fair. I really shouldn't have used a weapon in front of Cha-Cha. If I had accidentally hurt her, I would never forgive myself. So I deserve to kneel. Consort Shu was surprised. In the past, whenever Xiao Yao was punished, he would always find a way to get even. What's different today? Does he know Consort Ning is about to be released from the cold palace and doesn't want to offend them? It seems I've underestimated that vixen's abilities. I cannot let that woman make a comeback. Over at Tongxin Palace, the emperor had ordered a grand feast and was personally feeding Cha-Cha. The maids nearby whispered amongst themselves, even the princes have never been fed personally by his majesty. Princess Cha-Cha is the first. The emperor looked at the adorable little person before him and thought, the annual Golden Melon Festival is coming up soon. I'll take her with me and let her eat to her heart's content. He then ordered Li Yu to prepare the Tangmu Pavilion for a bath. In the palace, only the emperor himself was allowed to use the Tangmu Pavilion. He gently asked Cha-Cha if she was full. Cha-Cha patted her belly happily and said she was. The emperor lifted her up. Then let's go take a bath with Daddy. In the Tangmu Pavilion, the emperor was getting ready to bathe with Cha-Cha. He tested the water temperature himself before letting her in. The little girl had never seen anything like it. She excitedly lifted her little dress, jumped into the water with a swoosh, and started splashing happily. This is so fun, she cried, splashing water all over the emperor's face. But he didn't get angry. He just warmly reminded her to be careful. Cha-Cha even showed off her doggy paddle. The emperor smiled, clapping and praising her. I didn't know my daughter could doggy paddle. You're better than Daddy. Hearing her father's praise, the little girl immediately dove back under the water and started swimming again. Cha-Cha had a wonderful time in the Tangmu Pavilion. After the bath, the emperor, worried she would catch a cold, wrapped her in a large towel. Just then, Li Yu noticed a rustle at the door curtain and barked, Who's there? Get out here! How dare you hide here? Xiang Chao quickly knelt down, kowtowing repeatedly. Your servant Xiang Chao means no harm. My lady heard that your majesty had brought the little princess back and was worried she might be a handful, so she sent me to check on her. Please spare my life, your majesty. The emperor looked at the handmaiden, Xiang Chao. She seemed familiar. Who is your lady? He asked. Sweating profusely, Xiang Chao replied, She is Consort Ning, who was sent to the cold palace 2 years ago. Hearing Ning's name, the emperor paused for a moment, then asked coldly, Besides having you check on Cha-Cha, did she ask for anything else? Like for me to release her from the cold palace? Xiang Chao shook her head. She only asked me to check on Princess Cha-Cha, nothing else. He gritted his teeth in frustration. That foolish woman Ning! She doesn't even know how to seize an opportunity like this. Has she actually grown fond of the cold palace? He angrily told Xiang Chao, Go tell your consort Ning that from now on, I will raise Cha-Cha myself. She won't be returning to the cold palace. You may leave. Your Majesty, Cha-Cha is my lady's entire world. Without the princess, you might as well take her life. Xiang Chao knelt, begging for mercy. The emperor, worried she would wake Cha-Cha, had her thrown out. The next morning, little Princess Cha-Cha woke up to see 2 strangers by her bed. She nervously shrank back under the covers. A young eunuch explained that the emperor had gone to court, but had left specific instructions for them to serve her breakfast as soon as she woke up, and then take her to play in the imperial garden. The little foodie heard there was food and immediately agreed. Soon Cha-Cha was outside with 2 young eunuchs. As they passed through a garden, she saw a young boy who looked a lot like her daddy sleeping on a rock. The more she looked, the prettier he seemed. She couldn't resist poking his cheek, but he didn't move. She suddenly remembered how her butterfly friend had stopped moving after Uncle Xiaoxian had poked it. Is the little big brother dead? Just as Cha-Cha was telling the 2 eunuchs, the little big brother is dead. Consort Hua, who was looking for her truant son Changye, happened to overhear. Hearing her son was dead, she broke down, grabbing him and wailing. The scene stunned everyone present. Changye, dazed from being shaken so hard, rubbed his head. Who died? At that moment, Cha-Cha started clapping happily. Yay, the little big brother isn't dead! The moment Changye saw Cha-Cha, his eyes lit up. Where did this adorable little sister come from? He was about to go over and say hello, when Consort Hua grabbed him by the ear. You brat, get back to Yuehi Palace right now. Seeing the little big brother wince in pain, Cha-Cha covered her own ears and told him to protect his. This made Consort Hua stop and stare at her. This must be Consort Ning's daughter. Changye was sleeping, and she saw it. She's so favored by His Majesty right now. If she accidentally mentions this to him, there will be trouble. She decided to take Cha-Cha to Yuehe Palace. When the two eunuchs refused to let Cha-Cha go, she tempted the girl with snacks, saying there were many more delicious treats at her palace. The little foodie couldn't resist and started jumping for joy. Consort Hua ordered her attendants to take Cha-Cha to Yuehe Palace and told the two eunuchs to wait there. Watching Cha-Cha leave, the two eunuchs looked at each other. "We need to find help, fast! Otherwise the little princess is in grave danger." Inside Yuehe Palace, the little foodie Cha-Cha was happily stuffing snacks into her mouth. But Consort Hua's goal wasn't just to feed her, it was to keep her from telling the emperor that the third prince had been skipping his lessons to sleep. The third prince watched the adorable Cha-Cha, growing more and more fond of her. Just then, Cha-Cha offered him a snack she was holding. "Big brother, this is for you," she said sweetly. The third prince was surprised and thought, "The little sister must like me to give me a snack." He then announced to Consort Hua, "Mother, I want to marry this little sister and make her my wife." Consort Hua was horrified. This little witch is just like her mother, a curse on everyone she meets. In just a few minutes, she's already completely captivated my son. If His Majesty really releases them from the cold palace and reinvestigates what happened back then, the consequences will be unimaginable. It could even threaten my entire family. She slammed her teacup down and pointed a finger at Cha-Cha. "I don't care how much of your mother's seductive charm you've inherited, but you listen to me, stay away from my son, or you'll regret it." She then ordered her servants to throw Cha-Cha out. Thankfully, the third prince shielded Cha-Cha behind him. The little girl was terrified, trembling behind her big brother and crying, "I want daddy!" Just then, Prince Xiaoyao appeared. When Cha-Cha saw her uncle Xiao-san, it was like she'd found a lifeline. With tears in her eyes, she threw herself into his arms. Xiaoyao felt her trembling and knew something was wrong. He demanded to know what Consort Hua had done to her. Guilty Consort Hua couldn't tell the truth and acted nonchalant. "What could I possibly do to a little girl? I was just warning her not to follow in the footsteps of her mother, who brought chaos to the palace." But she was thinking, is Xiaoyao really going to stand up for this girl? To her surprise, Xiaoyao's face darkened and he spoke to her with a menacing tone. "She's just a 2-year-old child. Your actions were excessive, my lady. You should understand something, she calls me uncle, and I genuinely love this little girl. I don't care what you do in the harem, but you are not to touch Cha-Cha." With that, he swept Cha-Cha into his arms and left, leaving a very confused Consort Hua behind. After leaving Yuehe Palace, Cha-Cha whispered in Xiaoyao's arms, "Uncle Xiao-san." Xiaoyao pinched her chubby cheek. "Don't worry. With your uncle here, no one can bully our Cha-Cha." The little girl finally smiled. It was a good thing the two eunuchs had run into Xiaoyao in the garden. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened. Just then, Cha-Cha planted another big kiss on his cheek. "Like Uncle Xiao-san," she declared happily. Xiaoyao felt like he could fly. The little fatty kissed me again. He asked her why she was out so early. "Where do you want to play? Your uncle will take you." The thoughtful Cha-Cha replied, "I miss Mommy. I want to see Mommy." Xiaoyao happily agreed, leaving the two eunuchs behind as he took Cha-Cha to the cold palace. The moment they arrived, the little girl couldn't wait and ran inside. She pushed the door open with all her might and rushed to her mother's side. Consort Ning had fallen ill with worry after the emperor declared Cha-Cha wouldn't be returning. Cha-Cha wiped her mother's tears. "Don't cry, Mama. Cha-Cha will go catch a fishy for you." Just then, the emperor suddenly appeared, calling Cha-Cha's name with a cold voice. Cha-Cha tugged on his sleeve and said with a trembling lip, Mommy is sick." He wanted to take Cha-Cha and scolded Xiaoyao. "This is all your fault." Xiaoyao looked helpless. Is it wrong for the little fatty to want to see her mother? The emperor picked Cha-Cha up and said coldly, "Come back to Tongxin Palace with me." But as he turned to leave, Cha-Cha burst into tears, wailing, "Mommy, I want Mommy!" She cried and cried in his arms. Defeated, the emperor had no choice but to put her down and turned to leave himself. The little girl wiped her tears, thinking, "Daddy is angry." Seeing her crying so hard, Li Yu offered her a handkerchief. "Little princess, please don't cry." Cha-Cha tugged on his arm. "Mr. Eunuch, I don't want Daddy to be angry." The emperor watched her from the side, thinking, "Am I being too strict with this child?" Cha-Cha looked at him cautiously, too scared to speak. What if Daddy is still mad? She started crying again. Just then, the emperor held out his hand and called her over. Cha-Cha happily trotted toward him on her little short legs. But in her haste, she tripped over her own feet. The emperor's heart sank seeing her fall. He rushed over and helped her up, asking warmly, "Where did you get hurt? Let Daddy see." With trembling hands, Cha-Cha lifted her skirt, revealing a nasty scrape on her leg. The Emperor felt a pang of guilt. How did she get so hurt? But the thoughtful Cha-Cha quickly waved her hands. Don't worry, Daddy. It doesn't hurt. The Emperor looked at her, thinking, she's hurt this badly, yet she's still trying to comfort me. He immediately sent someone to get medicine. Holding Cha-Cha in his arms, he said gently, this is all Daddy's fault. But Cha-Cha reached up and touched his face with her small hand. Daddy, don't feel bad. Cha-Cha was just clumsy. My daughter is not clumsy. My daughter is the smartest child in the world. Just then, the Empress Dowager arrived. The Emperor, afraid she would see that he had let Cha-Cha get hurt, tried to move away as she reached for her granddaughter. But at that exact moment, Li Yu ran in with the medicine. The Empress Dowager was surprised. Ointment? Who's hurt? My son looks fine. Could it be that my precious granddaughter is hurt? Let Imperial Grandmother see. The Emperor turned away, completely ignoring her, and carried Cha-Cha to the side. He told Li Yu to bring the medicine. The two of them started fighting over who would apply it to Cha-Cha's leg, until the Empress Dowager shoved the Emperor aside. My sweet, shall Imperial Grandmother put the medicine on for you? Cha-Cha, stunned by their bickering, could only nod. The Empress Dowager gently held her little leg. There, once the medicine is on, it won't hurt anymore. But as she worked, Cha-Cha's eyes filled with tears. She remembered her own mother putting medicine on her cuts, and a single tear fell onto the Empress Dowager's hand. The old woman panicked, thinking she had hurt her. But Cha-Cha was just worried about her mother. All she wanted was her mommy. So when will Cha-Cha get to see her mother? The Empress Dowager thought she had been too rough and started smacking her own hand. It's all Imperial Grandmother's fault. The little girl threw her arms around her grandmother's neck, tears streaming down her face. It's not your fault. Cha-Cha just misses Mommy. Mommy is sick and I need to catch fish for her. The Empress Dowager hugged her tightly. My darling, you want to catch fish for your mommy? Who is your mommy? Which palace is she in? Wiping her tears, Cha-Cha said, I'm the little princess from the Cold Palace. The Empress Dowager was shocked. The Cold Palace? You're Consort Ning's daughter? Then you're my real granddaughter. She excitedly picked Cha-Cha up and turned to the Emperor. Son, is she really your daughter with Consort Ning? The Emperor replied calmly, Mother, Cha-Cha is indeed my child with Consort Ning, but since Ning has been banished to the Cold Palace, I am keeping Cha-Cha with me to raise her myself. The Empress Dowager beamed and lifted Cha-Cha high. The Yanqi dynasty finally has a princess. But Cha-Cha was still crying. I miss Mommy, I want Mommy. The Emperor, however, continued to read his documents, his expression unchanged. The Empress Dowager held Cha-Cha and pleaded with him. Even if you bring Cha-Cha here, you have to give the child time to adjust, don't you? Can you really bear to see her suffer like this? If my little darling cries herself sick, I will never forgive you. Just then, Cha-Cha reached out her hands and called sweetly, Daddy, hold me. She threw herself into his arms and said with a pained expression, Daddy, give Mommy fishies. Cha-Cha won't eat. Cha-Cha will just drink vegetable soup. The Emperor's heart finally softened. He wiped her tears away. It's not like I can't afford to feed you. Why would you drink vegetable soup? His mind flashed back to when he first met her. What kind of life has my daughter been living in the Cold Palace? No wonder she was catching her own fish. My daughter loves meat so much, yet when we first met, she generously gave me a fish. He asked her seriously, if I lived in the Cold Palace, would you give me the fish you caught? Cha-Cha instantly became wary. Is Daddy trying to trick me out of my fish again? She didn't answer, and the Emperor pressed, Answer me! Cha-Cha pouted, looking unhappy. The Emperor gently pinched her lips. Are you going to tell me? The little girl shook her head like a rattle. No. The Empress Dowager stepped in, scolding him. Don't bully my granddaughter. Are you even my son? Cha-Cha, still in his arms, puffed out her cheeks and said angrily, Daddy is mean. I won't give Daddy any fishies. The Emperor felt as if his heart had been pierced by 1,000,000 arrows. He said with a stern face, What did you just say? I agreed to let you see your mother and you still won't give me any fish? The little girl's eyes went wide. I can see Mommy? The Emperor gently held her. So, are you going to give me a fishy? Cha-Cha hesitated for a moment, looking into his eyes, then suddenly leaned in and gave him a kiss. Her mood instantly brightened. The Emperor was overjoyed. He lifted her up. Let's go. We're going to the Cold Palace to see Mommy. As the Emperor's procession headed for the Cold Palace, Consort Shu saw them. She immediately rushed to Yuehe Palace to stir up trouble, telling Consort Hua that the Emperor was about to release Consort Ning from her confinement. Consort Hua was instantly alarmed. She was as frantic as ant on a hot pan. Meanwhile, the Emperor had just arrived at the Cold Palace gates, when Cha-Cha jumped down and ran into Consort Ning's arms. Li Yu was about to interrupt, but the Emperor stopped him. Seeing the emperor, Consort Ning hurried over to greet him formally. The emperor thought, she's clearly sick, yet she comes out like this. When will this woman ever learn to take care of herself? Rise, he said coolly, before walking into the cold palace himself. Cha-Cha happily took her mother's hand. Mommy, let's go find Daddy inside. Seeing them walk in together, laughing and talking, made the emperor a little jealous. How can this heartwarming scene not include me? He called Cha-Cha over to him. When she refused to let go of her mother's hand, he tempted her with food. Come here and Daddy will give you meat to eat. Consort Ning felt a little overwhelmed. His Majesty is actually willing to acknowledge Cha-Cha as his daughter. Cha-Cha sat on the emperor's lap and said happily, Mommy, come over here too. Ning was still reeling from hearing the emperor call Cha-Cha daughter, and just stood there stunned. Suddenly the emperor slammed his hand on the table. My daughter told you to come over here, didn't you hear her? Ning looked at him in shock, unsure what to do. The emperor thought, does this woman think I'm a ghost or a plague? Why is she standing so far away? Sensing the tense atmosphere, Cha-Cha reached up and pinched the emperor's cheek. Daddy, don't yell at Mommy. Daddy and Mommy have to be nice to each other. Mommy loves Cha-Cha, so Daddy has to love Mommy and Cha-Cha. The emperor was surprised that a child could say such a thing. He lifted her up and asked seriously, who taught you to say that? Your mother? He stole a glance at Ning, secretly pleased. That's my daughter, all right. She knows just what to say. Ning was clearly flustered. The atmosphere was delicate, but before anything else could happen, they heard a commotion outside. Who is making such a racket out there? The emperor demanded angrily. Consort Hua and Consort Shu entered and knelt before him. He was not pleased. Why are you two here? Did you find out my schedule and come here specifically to block my way? Seeing the other two consorts, Ning thought, this is for the best. Now His Majesty won't stay too long. If he stays, I don't think my heart can remain steady. Consort Hua spoke up, saying she had something important to discuss. She feigned a pitiful look, not wanting to talk while kneeling, but the emperor coldly refused her request to stand. Undeterred, Hua continued, 3 years ago, the imperial astronomer determined that Consort Ning and her daughter were bad omens that would threaten the nation's fortune. If you release her from the cold palace, aren't you afraid of angering the court officials and having them protest? The emperor would not tolerate her provocations. Insolence! When did it become your place to tell me how to do my job? Terrified, Hua started kowtowing. Cha-Cha covered her ears. She remembered that this lady had given her snacks, but now her daddy was yelling again. Consort Shu was smarter and knelt silently. It didn't matter to her which one of them fell, either way she stood to gain. Just then, Cha-Cha jumped down and bravely stood in front of Consort Hua. Don't scold her, she told the emperor. She gave Cha-Cha snacks, don't scold her. Consort Hua stared at the kind-hearted Cha-Cha, thinking, is this little girl defending me because I gave her snacks? But even if His Majesty adores her, will he really listen to a child who can barely speak clearly? To her astonishment, the emperor actually told them both to rise. Consort Hua couldn't believe it. His Majesty actually listened to this child. It seems this little girl cannot be allowed to live. But while she was spared a severe punishment, she wasn't off the hook entirely. The emperor sentenced them both to go fishing in the imperial garden pond. Hua was stunned by the punishment. Shu, worried the emperor might change his mind, quickly dragged her away. By the pond, Hua was fuming as she fished, blaming Shu for her predicament. Annoyed by Shu's whining, Hana told her to leave and think of a way to win the emperor's heart back from the cold palace. But not only was Hua not catching any fish, she was tripped by a rock Shu had kicked. Her foot slipped, and with a splash she fell into the pond. Worse, she couldn't swim. Her 2 eunuchs were also non-swimmers, and just stood on the bank, panicking. Just then, Princess Cha-Cha jumped into the pond and, with all her might, started pushing Hua toward the shore. Hua was in a daze. What's that behind me? Thankfully, she made it to the bank. Her eunuchs rushed over to see if she was okay. Just as she was about to lose her temper, she heard a ha-ha-ha from the pond. The eunuchs told her that it was Princess Cha-Cha who had saved her. At that moment, Cha-Cha popped out of the water, holding a huge fish, and happily climbed onto the bank. Hana stared at her in amazement. That little girl really did save me. Xiang Chao rushed over to check on Cha-Cha and wrapped her in a towel. Worried Hua might use this as an excuse to cause trouble, she prepared to leave. But Hua called out, "Stop!" She declared she was not an ungrateful person and would have the Imperial Kitchen's best chef cook the fish to repay Cha-Cha for saving her life. Cha-Cha looked confused. What life-saving favor? Xiang Chao quickly explained. It means Lady Hua wants to treat you to the most delicious fish. The little girl's face lit up at the mention of food. I want to eat, she cheered, raising her hands. Watching the adorable Cha-Cha, Hua couldn't help but think, no wonder His Majesty likes this child. She's just too cute. Suddenly, Cha-Cha added, but Hama tensed up. But what? She boldly declared, one fish isn't enough. Before Hua or Xiangtao could react, Cha-Cha toddled over to the pond, and just before jumping in, she turned back and announced, Cha-Cha is going to catch a few more fish. In no time, she had another big one. Watching the pure and adorable Cha-Cha, Hua thought to herself, this kid is actually pretty interesting. Xiangtao brought a towel to wrap Cha-Cha in, but Hua took it from her. Let me, she said with a slightly awkward smile. As she dried Cha-Cha off, she said, dry off so you don't get sick. This gesture stunned the nearby eunuchs and Xiangtao. Hua then took Cha-Cha's hand, and they walked back to the cold palace together. Meanwhile, back at Tongsun Palace, the emperor heard from Li Yu that consort Hua had gone back to the cold palace, and with Princess Cha-Cha. The emperor immediately shot to his feet. Let's go. To the cold palace. I want to see just what consort Hua is plotting. As he reached the entrance, he heard Hua's voice from inside. Smash it hard, don't hold back. The emperor threw the doors open just in time to see Hua with Princess Cha-Cha. How dare you, he roared. Put my daughter down. Cha-Cha was delighted to see her daddy, and happily rubbed against his leg. But the emperor picked her up and gave her a thorough inspection. Only when he saw she was unhurt did he put her down. The little girl stumbled, dizzy. Daddy, Cha-Cha is so dizzy. The emperor quickly scooped her up again and glared at Hua. How did she bully you just now? Daddy will make it right. The little girl just pointed at the fire nearby and said happily, hee hee, fishy. Hua couldn't believe that the emperor saw her as such a wicked woman. She was about to explain when he cut her off with a roar. Silence! Terrified, Hua clamped her mouth shut. Li Yu quickly added, the little princess is the apple of His Majesty's eye. For you to smash her like that is like smashing His Majesty's own heart and face. Hua was at a complete loss for words. It felt like a million wild animals were stampeding through her mind. How am I supposed to explain this? Who am I? Where am I? Just then, Consort Ning appeared. She hurried forward to explain to the emperor, my sister and Cha-Cha caught a lot of big, fat fish today. We were just getting ready for a fish feast for lunch. The emperor looked around for a moment. A misunderstanding? Then what was that about smashing my daughter? With tears in her eyes, Hua explained, your subject was talking about smashing the fish. Only then did the emperor remember the fish hot pot Cha-Cha had pointed to. He finally realized his mistake. Now he was blushing as he said, so, is this fish feast ready yet? My daughter is starving. The two women exchanged a look and a secret smile. All right, we won't expose him. Soon the feast began. Seeing the large pot of fish hot pot, the little foodie Cha-Cha's eyes lit up. Consort Ning brought out a bib to put on her. The emperor was surprised to see the same lamb pattern from the lucky pouch Cha-Cha had left behind. Ning must have embroidered these herself. Quickly, the little foodie started digging in. The emperor expected Ning to serve him after she was done with Cha-Cha, at which point he would coolly refuse. He had the whole scene pictured in his head, but to his utter shock, Ning picked up a piece of fish and put it right into her own mouth. Next, Ning and Hua both gave Cha-Cha fish balls and fish slices. The emperor was completely ignored. He was furious. Not a single one of them has noticed that I'm still hungry. If this is how they behave, they need to be taught a lesson. Just then, Li Yu came to report that the matter His Majesty had asked him to investigate had a lead. The person was caught and waiting outside. The emperor went out and was told by a guard that they had found a bracelet. Looking at it, he asked, why would a young eunuch have a woman's accessory? The material and craftsmanship don't look like something an ordinary person could get. The young eunuch, terrified, quickly confessed that the bracelet had been forced on him by Consort Shu's handmaiden. His task was to report on the emperor's visits to the cold palace with the little princess. The emperor's face darkened with rage. Consort Shu dares to bribe even the people around me. He ordered the eunuch to be taken away and immediately executed. The bracelet in his hand was crushed to pieces. He then told Li Yu to conduct a thorough investigation into Consort Shu. By evening, the emperor was about to take a full-bellied Cha-Cha for a walk. Just then, Hua came running after them, pulling Ning along. Your Majesty, we will accompany you. The emperor was by the pond with Cha-Cha, counting stars, when he suddenly grabbed Ning's hand. Why are you so far away from me? Do you think I'm going to eat you? He then shot a cold look at Hua. You've had your fish feast, go back to your Yuehe palace. But Hua shamelessly replied, I really like you three as a family. Why don't the four of us just be together? The emperor was speechless. To make things worse, Li Yu came to report that Prince Xiaoyao was requesting an urgent audience. Are these two determined to ruin my family time? In Tongsun Palace, the emperor impatiently dismissed him. Stop scheming for my daughter's attention. Cut the nonsense. Why have you come to the palace so late at night? Xiao Yao became serious. I am indeed here because of Cha-Cha. Royal brother, you haven't forgotten what the imperial astronomer predicted about consort Ning and her daughter's fate 3 years ago, have you? Today, outside the palace, I happened to see that astronomer Xu Qiong discussing the matter again with consort Ning's father. Xu Qiong claimed that someone wants Cha-Cha and her mother dead. I felt this was too important to ignore and rushed back to report it. The emperor remembered that day 3 years ago, the astronomer declaring Cha-Cha a curse, the ministers begging him to execute them both. He had sent them to the cold palace to save their lives. My daughter and I have only been reunited for a few days, and someone is already plotting against her. There must be more to this. He ordered Xiao Yao to investigate secretly, to see who has the gall to harm my daughter. Just then, Li Yu came to remind him that the Empress Dowager had ordered the prince's archery assessment for the next day, and that he shouldn't forget due to his busy schedule. A small smile touched the emperor's lips. He could take Cha-Cha to watch tomorrow. The little girl would surely love it. The next day, the emperor brought Cha-Cha to the competition. The princes all bowed to their father, but the emperor's attention was solely on Cha-Cha, cooing at the girl in his arms. Cha-Cha's eyes fixed on the golden pearl on the emperor's crown. She snatched it off and popped it in her mouth. Why isn't it sweet, and it's so hard? The emperor didn't get angry at all. He just poked her little nose with a fond smile. You little glutton, you must be craving candy balls, aren't you? He immediately ordered Li Yu to bring all the candy balls in the palace. The princes were left standing awkwardly to the side. The crown prince fumed. Who is this little brat who has all of father's attention? I was waiting to show off my skills. Just then, the third prince, who had just woken up, spotted Cha-Cha. Isn't that my wife? His eyes lit up and he started waving. Cha-Cha quickly recognized her little big brother. The third prince called out happily, Wifey! The emperor was not pleased. He beckoned him over with a finger. Brat, what did you just call her? The third prince rubbed his head. Wifey. Can I marry this little sister and make her my wife? Cha-Cha looked at him, completely confused. What washing clothes? The emperor was thinking, does this brat have any idea what he's saying? Cha-Cha is his own sister. Not only did he call Cha-Cha his wife, but he did it right in front of the emperor, asking for his blessing to marry her. The emperor was not amused. What else do you want? The third prince said eagerly, I came today to ask for your approval for our marriage. We can discuss everything else later. Just then, Li Yu arrived with a huge basin of candy balls. The little foodie Cha-Cha stared at the mountain of sweets, swallowing hard. Daddy, I want to eat, I want to eat. Seeing Cha-Cha call the emperor Daddy, the third prince thought happily, she's already calling him Daddy. My little sister must be eager to marry me. The emperor asked playfully, So you want to get married? The third prince blushed. I want this little sister. Li Yu was horrified. Your Highness, do you have any idea what you're saying? But the emperor simply told him that Cha-Cha was his biological sister. The third prince started to say, My own sister. Well then, I still want... Before the words finally registered, he felt like he'd been struck by lightning. What did father just say? My own sister? Cha-Cha wrapped her arms around the emperor's neck. This is my daddy, she said, then turned to the third prince and called sweetly, Big brother. The third prince's heart shattered. He collapsed onto the ground. The cutest little sister in the world is actually my real sister. Seeing her brother fall, Cha-Cha rushed over to comfort him and popped a candy ball into his mouth. Looking at the adorable Cha-Cha, the third prince had no choice but to accept reality. Oh well, a sister is a sister. He got up and hugged her happily. From now on, I'll have a little sister to spoil me. The emperor snatched Cha-Cha back. All right, are you done? I'm here to assess your archery skills. Get back on the field. Cha-Cha cheered from the sidelines. Go, big brother, go. The third prince thought, my sister is watching. I can't mess this up. But his first arrow missed the target completely. He tried again, and still missed. Ah, so close, he muttered. The emperor watched him, a little surprised. This kid has never cared about his studies, but he's different today. He's actually trying. Next, it was the crown prince's turn. He also shot 2 arrows, and neither hit the target. The emperor knew that his eldest son, Chongjing, was too competitive, which often made him prone to mistakes. Just then, the prime minister, Helen Si, made a snide remark. I've heard the crown prince is both wise and brave, but it seems that was an exaggeration. And the third prince is just as useless as the rumors say. For the princes to miss so many shots, they have truly disappointed your majesty's efforts. Cha-Cha would not stand for this. She scrambled down from the emperor's lap, ran over to the prime minister and climbed onto his table. Pointing a tiny finger at his nose, she yelled, Listen here, you ugly, rotten egg. Cha-Cha's big brothers are the best in the whole world. Cha-Cha's brothers are the strongest in the whole world. The The Prime Minister Helen C. slammed his hand on the table and shot to his feet. "You insolent child! I am a pillar of the Yanqi nation! How dare you insult me? Be silent!" Hearing this, the emperor's face darkened with rage. He pulled Cha-Cha into his arms. "Cha-Cha is my youngest daughter, and she has never heard a harsh word in her life. And today, my dear minister, you dare to lecture my daughter? You truly are a pillar of our nation. Soon will you be lecturing me and the Empress Dowager as well?" The Prime Minister broke into a cold sweat and started trembling. "The Emperor has been displeased with me for a long time. I can't give him an excuse to get rid of me over this." He immediately fell to his knees and started kowtowing, quickly trying to flatter the Emperor. Although the princess is young, her spirit is as strong as any hero's. "She truly has your majesty's presence." The Emperor replied with a stern face. "The son is quite strong on the archery field today, but everyone else seems fine. Only you, my dear minister, seem to have lost your head. You must be tired from serving the country. Perhaps we should send you home to rest. You needn't leave your house for a while." The other ministers were terrified into silence. The old fox Helenchi has finally met his match. The Emperor then turned back to the field. "The archery competition will continue. Show me what you've got and don't let anyone look down on you." A short while later, Cha-Cha had fallen fast asleep. The Emperor told Li Yu, "The princess is tired. I'm taking her back to rest. Let the boys go back on their own when they're finished." Li Yu asked carefully, "Are you returning to Tongshan Palace or going to Consort Ning's?" The Emperor was feeling stressed. Returning to his own palace meant dealing with mountains of paperwork. "Just go to the Cold Palace," he decided. Outside the Cold Palace, the Emperor specifically told Li Yu not to announce him, so as not to wake the princess. But as he approached the door, he heard Consort Hua's voice from inside. She was trying to convince Consort Ning to move in with her, saying her palace was closer to the back hill pond, so the three of them and Cha-Cha could go fishing and grilling whenever they wanted. The Emperor's expression instantly changed. "You dare, Hua! Not only do you interfere with my family, now you're trying to steal my woman and my daughter." He furiously pushed the door open. "Hua, what are you doing here?" Hua looked guilty and was about to explain when Cha-Cha stirred with a small sound. The Emperor roared at Hua, "Silence! You're disturbing my daughter." Ning stepped forward to take Cha-Cha, but the Emperor coldly refused. "I'll do it." He gently tucked Cha-Cha in, watching as she sucked on her little hand in her sleep. A true foodie, eating even in her dreams. When the Emperor came back out, he saw Hua was still trying to persuade Ning. He grabbed Hua's hand and demanded, "You've come to the Cold Palace to cause trouble time and time again. What is your real motive?" Hua quickly tried to explain. "Your Majesty, it's a misunderstanding. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to give Consort Ning and her daughter a home. It pains me to see them living in the Cold Palace." The Emperor glared at her. "In this harem? When did it become your place to give them a home?" Hua paled. He had a point. Just then, the Emperor took Ning's hand and announced, "Li Yu, immediately have Consort Ning's original residence. Tingzhu Palace cleaned and prepared. The consort and Cha-Cha will be moving back in." Li Yu replied with delight, "I'll see to it at once." Consort Hua just sat there, utterly defeated. When Consort Shu learned that the Emperor had released Consort Ning, she couldn't contain her anger. She smashed her teacup and hurried to Yuehi Palace to confront Consort Hua. On the way, she ran into the Crown Prince. An idea sparked in her mind. The Crown Prince performed poorly at the archery competition yesterday. He's probably on his way to suck up to His Majesty, worried about his position. She approached him with a smile. After a few pleasantries, she started her manipulation. "I've heard that His Majesty's affection for Consort Ning and her daughter has been rekindled. Yesterday at the competition, he barely paid attention to any of the princes. All his focus was on that girl Cha-Cha." The Crown Prince's face soured at the mention of Cha-Cha's name. "I am the noble Crown Prince of the Yanqi dynasty. My father's favor and attention should be mine alone." Seeing his displeasure, Shu added, "Now that His Majesty has released them from the Cold Palace, he might neglect his duties if this continues." The Crown Prince declared that he would not allow them to continue bewitching his father. Seeing her chance, Shu proposed they join forces to get rid of them. The Crown Prince sneered, "My lady, I assume this was your goal in stopping me?" "I am the Crown Prince. What makes you think I would help you?" Shu answered directly. "Because I have no son, I can be completely loyal to you, Your Highness. I can help you secure your position and remove any obstacles on your path to the throne." Intrigued, the Crown Prince asked for her terms. Shu placed a hand on her stomach. "This is the only thing I desire." He was alarmed. "You want a child?" He worried about the risk. If they plotted against his father and succeeded, it would be one thing. But if they failed, the consequences would be dire. Sensing his hesitation, Shu reassured him, "You need not worry about getting burned, Your Highness. I will take the lead. You only need to help push things along. Even if I have a son, he will be no threat to you." The crown prince bowed respectfully. "In that case, I will be relying on you, my lady." Both of them had their own secret plans. The crown prince had been wanting to place a spy in the harem, and Shu had just delivered herself to him. They had formed an alliance of convenience. Later, the crown prince went to Tongsun Palace and presented the emperor with some exquisite snacks. The emperor's first thought was of Cha-Cha. She's always loved sweets. I should take these to her. The little girl will be so happy. He decided to have the crown prince accompany him to Tingju Palace to see Cha-Cha. The crown prince agreed on the surface, but inside he was seething. I am the crown prince, and he's making me go see some little girl. If this continues, he might as well give her the whole empire. I will not let that happen. When they arrived at Tingju Palace, they saw Consort Hua and the third prince peeking through the gate like spies. "What are you two doing?" the emperor boomed. The mother and son jumped in fright. The crown prince immediately scolded them. "You are a royal consort and a prince. How can you engage in such shameful behavior as spying? Apologize to father at once." He was secretly delighted. They're so tactless. Father is surely about to punish them. Hawa quickly explained, "It's a misunderstanding. We came to visit Ning and Cha-Cha, but we saw that Cha-Cha was taking a nap in a hammock. She looked so peaceful and cute, we didn't want to disturb her, so we were just watching from the gate." Hearing that Cha-Cha was sleeping in a hammock, the emperor couldn't resist taking a peek himself. "That's my daughter, all right. Even the way she sleeps looks just like me." The crown prince stood by with a blank expression, thinking, "Father truly only has eyes for that little brat. I must get rid of her and her mother." Suddenly, the gate opened and Xiangchao poked her head out, making the spies feel incredibly awkward. Xiangchao explained that Consort Ning had heard a noise and sent her to check, apologizing for disturbing them. Just then, little Princess Cha-Cha yawned and woke up. Seeing the emperor at the gate, she held out her hands and called sweetly, "Daddy, hold me!" But the emperor looked at her seriously. "This hammock is too high. Be careful you don't fall." Cha-Cha, however, pointed at a distant roof. "That's high up. Cha-Cha wants to climb." The emperor stroked her face fondly. "You're still too small to climb high places. When you're bigger, Daddy will take you horse riding and teach you archery, and we'll climb even higher places, okay?" The crown prince watched this scene, his fists clenched in anger. She's so young and already knows how to act cute and hog all of father's attention. She's nothing but a menace. But the third prince was happily waving his hands. "Little sister," he called out. Cha-Cha was just as happy to see her brother. She jumped down from the hammock and ran towards him. The third prince was ecstatic. But to his surprise, Cha-Cha ran right past him and straight for the box of snacks the crown prince was holding. The crown prince snatched the box away with a look of disgust. "These aren't for you." Cha-Cha's face fell and her eyes filled with tears. The third prince flew into a rage and grabbed the snack box. "It's just a few snacks. If my sister wants to eat them, let her eat." He then took Cha-Cha's hand. "Come on, little sister, let's go eat over there." The crown prince became frantic. "Father," he said to the emperor, "these are snacks your son specially prepared for you. How can you let them be wasted like this?" The emperor's face hardened. "I gave her permission to eat them. Are you accusing me of wasting your snacks?" Seeing his father's anger, the crown prince quickly knelt to apologize. Consort Ning stepped in to mediate. The crown prince meant well, and Cha-Cha has eaten quite a lot today. She told Cha-Cha to give the snacks back to her big brother. The little girl held out the box to the crown prince. "Big brother, I'm sorry, Cha-Cha only ate one. You can have them back." The crown prince snatched the box away with a disdainful look. Ning smiled and gently prompted Cha-Cha. "You ate your brother's snack. What should you say to him?" Cha-Cha went to the crown prince and said sweetly, "Thank you." When he turned away from her, Ning pointed to the emperor. "Why don't you go ask your father not to be mad at your brother anymore?" Cha-Cha immediately ran to her daddy and asked him not to scold her brother. Out of love for his daughter, the emperor relented. "Fine," he said coldly to the crown prince. "Take your snacks and leave. I don't want to see you for a while." He then dismissed Consort Hua and her son as well. The emperor sighed in relief. Finally, some peace and quiet. Suddenly, he saw Xiangchao running and shouting, "Princess, put your clothes on, you'll catch a cold." The little girl ran ahead, yelling, "It's hot, I don't want to wear clothes." Ning rushed over and touched Cha-Cha's forehead. She was burning up. "Quick, call the imperial physician," the emperor commanded anxiously. After a careful examination, the physician announced that Cha-Cha didn't have a real fever. She was suffering from the effects of a strange drug she had accidentally ingested. The emperor was stunned. How could my daughter have been drugged? Wiping sweat from his brow, the physician insisted his diagnosis was correct. They would need to sponge her with cool water throughout the night to bring her temperature down. After taking a special soup, she should be back to normal by morning. Seeing how much pain Cha-Cha was in, the emperor asked desperately, "Are you sure she'll be okay?" The physician explained that the cause of her high fever was an aphrodisiac in the room that had amplified the effects of the drug. Hearing this, the emperor and Ning exchanged a look of shock. After the physician left, Ning sat by Cha-Cha's bed, wondering who would want to harm her daughter. The emperor was also thinking, knowing Ning, it couldn't have been her. There were so many people in Tingju Palace. How could Cha-Cha be the only one to have accidentally eaten the drug? He went to Ning's side. After discussing it, they both realized the only thing Cha-Cha had eaten by herself was the snacks from the Crown Prince. No wonder he had been so nervous when she was eating them. But why would the Crown Prince try to drug me with an aphrodisiac? Was someone pulling the strings? He ordered Li Yu to investigate the Crown Prince. Meanwhile, Cha-Cha was still miserable. Xiang Cao told Ning to get some rest, but she couldn't leave her daughter's side. Just then, the cloth in Ning's hand was snatched away. Seeing the emperor standing over her, she instinctively recoiled. "I'm only doing this for Cha-Cha," he stated. "It has nothing to do with you." But inside, he was secretly pleased. This woman is still avoiding me. Just then, Li Yu brought in the medicinal soup, and the emperor began to feed Cha-Cha himself. The little girl smelled the soup and immediately shrank back. "It's scary, no, no," the emperor patiently coaxed her. Cha-Cha took the bowl and looked at him with tears in her eyes, thinking, "It smells bad, but if I drink it, Daddy and Mommy won't worry about me anymore, right?" She then drank the whole thing down in one go. This little girl was so considerate. Seeing how much the emperor cared for Cha-Cha, Ning felt a sense of relief. She said carefully, "It's getting late, Your Majesty. You should return to Tongxin Palace to rest." The emperor was silent for a moment. After putting Cha-Cha down, he turned to Ning. "Every other consort in this palace hopes I will visit them, yet you want me to leave?" Ning stammered and backed away, but he pulled her into his arms. "Why do you resist me so much? I just want to take care of Cha-Cha with you. I won't leave until she wakes up. If you don't want to see me, you can go to the side chamber." As he lamented that, for all his power as emperor, he couldn't win the heart of the woman he loved, Li Yu came to report. The Minister of Personnel, the Imperial Censor, and the officials from the Astronomical Bureau are all kneeling outside the palace, requesting an audience. What were they doing here in the middle of the night? It turned out they had come to demand the emperor execute Consort Ning and her daughter, claiming they were a threat to the nation's fortune. The emperor sneered, "Are you asking me to execute my own wife and daughter?" One of the ministers stepped forward. The astronomer Shi Qiong calculated 3 years ago that their fates clashed with our Yanqi nation. Now that Consort Ning has returned to favor, our nation is in grave danger. The emperor glanced at Shi Qiong. "Is that so, my dear minister? Did I not say that anyone who leaked information about Consort Ning and her daughter would be executed without exception?" Shi Qiong was terrified and quickly explained that he hadn't leaked anything. It was common knowledge after Consort Ning's return, and everyone at court had seen the little princess. The emperor smiled faintly. It seems Minister Shu truly cares for our nation, always thinking of the people. But he knew this Shi Qiong was suspicious. First, his third brother had seen him meeting privately with Ning's father. Now he was instigating ministers to demand their execution. For an official to target them so relentlessly, someone else had to be behind it. He then ordered all the ministers except Shi Qiong to be thrown into the imperial dungeon. He told Shi Qiong to go back and recalculate the little princess's fate. "If I am not satisfied with the result, your head will find a new home." The emperor's plan was to use Shi Qiong to draw out the real mastermind. And just as he expected, Shi Qiong sought out the mastermind's handmaiden, begging for a way to save his own skin. The handmaiden was furious. "You took the money to do a job, and now you're backing out halfway through? Do you think my lady is easy to bully?" Shi Qiong grabbed her by the collar in desperation. "You're just a servant. How dare you threaten me? I wasn't the only one involved. Consort Shu and Consort Hua are both in on this." Everything was overheard by a guard hiding nearby, so it was all fabricated. His Majesty was right. Back at Tongxin Palace, Li Yu was reporting to the emperor. The investigation had revealed that Shi Qiong had indeed colluded with consorts in the harem to invent the prophecy. The plot involved not only Consort Shu but also Consort Hua. The emperor's face was grim. "There are many in the harem who would plot against Ning and her daughter. This time I will make an example of them and establish some authority for Cha-Cha and her mother." Elsewhere, the third prince was digging a hole to bury his failed exam papers. Suddenly, Cha-Cha appeared behind him. "Little big brother, what are you doing?" The little foodie thought he was burying treasure and asked hopefully, "Is it yummy?" Just then, the crown prince arrived and started mocking him. Well, well, third brother, burning another test paper you couldn't answer a single question on? You're so childish. Do you really think burning it will solve anything?" Cha-Cha immediately stepped in front of the third prince. "You can't bully my big brother!" This infuriated the crown prince. "It's you again, you little brat." "Fine, I won't bully him. I'll bully you." He raised his hand and slapped Cha-Cha across the face. The little girl couldn't take the force of the blow and fell hard to the ground. Seeing his sister get hit, the third prince threw a punch at the crown prince. But the crown prince ordered his attendant to restrain him, and the servant immediately grabbed the third prince. Cha-Cha cried from the side, "You bad guys. Let my big brother go." To everyone's shock, the crown prince grabbed Cha-Cha by the collar, raised his hand, and said menacingly, "Let's see who's going to protect you now." Just then, a young man appeared and kicked the crown prince away. "Bullying a little girl? What kind of man are you?" "The great crown prince of Yanqi, you're shameless." The crown prince, not missing a beat, arrogantly demanded, "Where did you come from, you little punk? You've got some nerve." The exceptionally handsome boy crossed his arms. "I'm a punk." Just then, a eunuch ran over frantically. "Oh, my dear crown prince, what are you doing here? The Empress Dowager is waiting for you." This shocked them both. "Crown prince? Which crown prince is he?" The eunuch gave an awkward laugh. "This is Crown Prince Murong Ying of the Beisha dynasty. The Golden Melon Festival is about to begin, and he just arrived in Yanqi today. The Empress Dowager is waiting to see him." The third prince's jaw nearly hit the floor. This was the Murong Ying, the one who defeated all of Beisia's top fighters at age 7 and took control of political affairs by 9? The crown prince's heart filled with hostility, but he was afraid of being blamed by his father over the incident. He waved his hand dismissively. "It was just a small misunderstanding. Since we have a guest from afar, make sure you serve him well." Then, making an excuse, the crown prince hurried away. But he had already logged this offense in his mind, determined to get his revenge. At that moment, little Princess Cha-Cha thanked the handsome boy in her sweet voice for saving her. Looking at the adorable little meatball, Murong Ying couldn't resist reaching out and pinching her chubby cheek. Noticing her hand was scraped, he helped her bandage the wound, telling the little girl not to get it wet for a few days. Cha-Cha happily thanked her new big brother. Murong Ying pinched her cheek again, saying with concern, "Little dumpling, if any bad guys bully you and there's no one around to protect you, you run as far away as you can. Then go tell someone who can protect you, so they can bully them back for you, okay?" Cha-Cha nodded with a smile, only half understanding. Just then, the overprotective third prince materialized between them, shielding Cha-Cha behind him and yelling, "I've been putting up with you for a while now. Even if you're the crown prince of Beisha and you saved my sister, you can't just touch her face whenever you want." Murong Ying laughed. "Your sister? Then where were you when someone was about to hit her?" The third prince's face scrunched up in frustration. Little Cha-Cha hugged him and explained to Murong Ying, "Big brother is very nice to Cha-Cha. He just can't win fights." Murong Ying roared with laughter. "You've got a point, little dumpling." He then told Cha-Cha that he'd be in Yanqi for a while, and if anyone bullied her again, she should come find him. The third prince felt a huge sense of crisis. He grabbed Cha-Cha's hand. "Don't listen to him. If anyone bullies you, your third brother will protect you. I'm going to train really hard." Not long after the third prince led Cha-Cha away, her stomach started to rumble. He took her to the imperial kitchen. "Yummy, yummy!" the little foodie exclaimed between bites, clearing an entire plate of snacks in no time. As the sun began to set, the third prince carried Cha-Cha on his back to Tingzhu Palace. When his mother, Hua, found out the crown prince had bullied Cha-Cha, she rolled up her sleeves, ready to march over and give him a piece of her mind. Was about to storm the Eastern Palace to demand justice. The tyrant emperor's voice stopped her from behind. The emperor recalled what his eunuch, Li Yu, had told him. Consort Shu had colluded with the astronomer Shu Qiong, and Hua was involved too. He stared at her for a moment. Why is she heading to the Eastern Palace? Is she the one plotting with the crown prince? He then reprimanded her. "As a consort of the harem, you should know better than to approach the crown prince's residence. He is not your son, and he is the heir to the throne. You should avoid any suspicion." Hua was stunned. "Does he think I'm plotting treason with the crown prince? What does he take me for?" She explained, "I only came to the Eastern Palace for Cha-Cha. Today at the Royal Academy, the crown prince hurt her. Is it wrong for me to demand justice for the little princess?" Hearing his daughter was hurt, the emperor was instantly worried and demanded to know how badly she was injured. Hana said with a pained expression, "The little princess hurt her hand. A child so small must be in terrible pain." The emperor thought, Hua wouldn't dare lie to me about this. It seems Chongjing really did hurt Cha-Cha. Still, I can't rule out that she's using this to stir up trouble. After all, her own hands aren't clean. He ordered Li Yu to escort Hua back to her palace, and then summon the crown prince to Tingzhu Palace. He himself headed there immediately. As soon as he entered, he anxiously asked how Cha-Cha was doing. The little girl waved her bandaged hand and smiled at him. It doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't hurt. But the emperor was still worried. Consort Ning stepped forward, explaining she'd already looked at it. It was just a scrape and would be fine in a few days. The doting father, however, held Cha-Cha and said unhappily to Ning, "An injury is an injury. As her mother, how can you be so casual about it? Do you even care about your daughter?" When Ning remained silent, the emperor said coldly, "It looks like her father has to be the one to get justice for her." He then asked Cha-Cha seriously, "Who hurt you?" Before Cha-Cha could answer, Ning interrupted. Knowing the crown prince was involved and not wanting to blow things out of proportion, she said to the emperor, "It was just children squabbling. I beg your majesty not to pursue it." The emperor was furious. "I was asking Cha-Cha, not you. Your daughter gets hurt and you don't even want to know why. Are you really her mother? Don't you feel for her at all?" Little did he know, Ning was doing all this for Cha-Cha's sake. Soon Li Yu returned to report that the crown prince wasn't in the eastern palace. He had likely gone outside the palace and men had been sent to find him. Meanwhile, the summoned crown prince was sharing a drink with the astronomer Shi Qiang. He wanted the astronomer to solve a puzzle for him. If there is someone you despise but everyone else adores them to the point of obsession, what could be the reason? The astronomer immediately thought, "I've heard the crown prince and Princess Cha-Cha don't get along. He must be talking about the little princess. If I can get the crown prince on our side against consort Ning and her daughter, our chances of success will be much higher." Shi Qiang began to spin his tale. "I have heard of a certain type of sorcery from the southern tribes that is most effective at confusing the mind. It's possible someone close to you has been put under a spell." Just as the crown prince was shocked by the word spell, a messenger arrived. "Your Majesty summons you to Tingzhu Palace." The crown prince's face darkened. "Father is calling for me at this hour? That little brat must have tattled on me." Before leaving, he told Shi Qiang to think of a way to break the spell, as he would likely need his help again. Shi Qiang replied that it would be his honor to serve the crown prince. Soon, the crown prince arrived at Tingzhu Palace. After greeting the emperor, he thought to himself, "You think you can scheme against me, you little brat? Not so easy." The emperor asked him sternly, "Why did you push and injure your sister? Is that how an older brother should act?" But the crown prince, rather than admitting fault, turned the tables. He claimed Cha-Cha was running wild in the palace and had barged into the royal academy. "That is where my brothers and I study. It is not a place to be disturbed, disrupting the education of Yanqi's future leaders. As her older brother, I had to discipline her." Ning was shocked. The crown prince was the one who hurt Cha-Cha, yet he's blaming her for disrupting their studies. The emperor's face was grim. "So, you're saying I've wrongly accused you?" Just then, a burst of laughter echoed from a nearby rooftop. Murong Ying was sitting on the roof, mocking him loudly. "The crown prince of Yanqi not only bullies the weak, but he's also a world-class liar. Shameless, truly shameless." He then leapt down gracefully, introduced himself, and bowed to the emperor. Cha-Cha chirped, "Little big brother." The crown prince, however, was thinking, "What is this kid doing here?" The emperor, not knowing the full story, roared at Murong Ying, "You dare trespass in my harem? What nerve?" Murong Ying calmly replied that he was there as a witness for the princess. The emperor was cold. "What witness? What does this have to do with you?" But at that moment, Cha-Cha ran to Murong Ying, happily shouting, "Little big brother!" Murong Ying picked her up and poked her chubby cheek. "Little dumpling, hurry and tell your father, wasn't I the one who saved you?" Cha-Cha waved her bandaged hand. "Yes, and big brother even bandaged my wound for me." Murong Ying smiled. "Good girl, little dumpling. So you're the little princess of Yanqi. It's a good thing I arrived when I did, or you would have been bullied again." He then held Cha-Cha and said to the emperor seriously, "I personally saw the crown prince of Yanqi bullying this little dumpling. Not only did he push her down, but he was about to kick her." He then pointed at the crown prince. "If I hadn't intervened, the consequences would have been unthinkable." The crown prince panicked and tried to explain, but the emperor silenced him with a bark. He then beckoned for Cha-Cha to come to him. The little girl toddled over on her chubby legs. The emperor asked her why she went to the academy, and she explained she was just going to pick up her third brother from school. Wanting to save a little face for his son, the emperor tried to dismiss Murong Ying. But Murong Ying stood his ground, saying that as a witness, he couldn't leave until justice was served. Otherwise, this crown prince of Yanqi will just start spouting lies again and falsely accuse the little dumpling. Seeing that Murong Ying wouldn't budge, the emperor huffed, picked up Cha-Cha, and prepared to leave himself. "Humph, if you won't go, I will. Don't trouble yourself, Prince of Beixia. I will see to it that Cha-Cha gets justice. Also, my harem has strict rules. A wall-climbing prince who has just arrived must not be aware." The emperor was getting jealous. How dare he call my daughter little dumpling? and climb the walls to get into the harem. Is he trying to make a move on Cha-Cha? In his dreams. He ordered his men to escort Murong Ying back to his residence and have him study the palace rules. Murong Ying had no choice but to leave. Cha-Cha said sweetly, "Little big brother, don't make daddy mad. We can play again next time." Hearing this, Murong Ying recalled his own father's warning. The emperor of Yanqi is unpredictable and difficult to approach. It seemed to be true. He agreed to play with Cha-Cha another time. As he bowed to the emperor, he thought, "I'm not one to be pushed around. If he won't let me climb the walls to see my little dumpling, I'll just have to visit her often. What's he going to do about it?" The emperor then began to scold the crown prince, who still refused to properly admit his mistake. The emperor finally slammed his hand on the table in a rage. "As the heir to the nation, you are so petty and you still dare to argue." The crown prince was instantly terrified. "Father is yelling at me in public for that little brat." At that moment, Cha-Cha covered her ears, looking frightened. The emperor immediately picked her up and said gently, "It's okay, don't be scared." The crown prince's face contorted with rage, and his anger boiled over. "I did push her on purpose. I can't stand her. I am the crown prince, yet father gives all his love to her." The emperor was taken aback. "She's just a little girl, and you are the crown prince." This only fueled the crown prince's anger. "Why did father have to scold me in front of so many people just for her? What did I do wrong?" The emperor's face was stern. "Then let me tell you what you did wrong. First, you bullied your younger sister. Second, you twisted the truth. You are already the crown prince, yet you compete for affection with your siblings and focus all your energy on wicked schemes. And you still dare to accuse me of being unfair?" The arrogant crown prince remained defiant. The emperor then questioned him directly. "The snacks you sent before, who put you up to it? What was your purpose in tampering with them?" The crown prince's heart sank. "Father didn't even eat the snacks, but he knows they were drugged. I can't admit it, or he'll strip me of my title." He started to put on an act. "Father is just trying to vent his anger for my sister's sake, and in doing so, he disregards my own filial piety. You favor consort Ning and her daughter so much. Have you forgotten the astronomer's prediction from 3 years ago? They should have been executed." Before he could finish, the emperor slapped him across the face, roaring, "As my eldest son, I had high hopes for you. I cultivated you with care and was always strict with you because the nation will one day be entrusted to you, and your character must be tempered. You are still young, and it's one thing if you can't understand. But for your character to become so corrupted that you compete with your own sister for favor, you have truly disappointed me." He sentenced the crown prince to 10 strokes of the cane and confined him to the Eastern Palace. "Without my decree, you are not to come out and embarrass yourself again." As the fuming crown prince was about to leave, consort Ning stopped him and told him to apologize to Cha-Cha. He sneered, "You want me to apologize to her? Not a chance. I am the crown prince. Even if I am to be punished, it is my father's decision. Since when does a woman of the harem have the right to tell me what to do?" Ning pulled Cha-Cha in front of her. "I am Cha-Cha's mother. No matter who bullies my daughter, I will get justice for her." She then said sternly, "You will apologize to her." The emperor glanced at Ning, thinking, "Now that's the attitude befitting my daughter's mother." He wrapped an arm around her. "Consort Ning is right. As her older brother, you were in the wrong. Naturally, you must apologize to them." Cornered, the crown prince had no choice but to offer a grudging apology. But he was still seething inside, vowing to one day repay this humiliation. Now, early the next morning, Consort Shu rushed to Yuehei Palace. A sleepy Hua asked her, "The sun has barely risen. What's so urgent that you had to come here now?" Shu looked frantic. "Sister, how can you still be sleeping? Last night, because of Consort Ning and her daughter, even the crown prince was reprimanded. He was caned and confined." Hua felt he deserved it. Serves him right. As a crown prince and an older brother, he bullied Cha-Cha and hurt my little treasure. He got what was coming to him. Shu was annoyed and grabbed Hua's arm. "Sister, you're taking that brat's side now? Have you forgotten that 3 years ago you and I bribed Shu Qiang to frame consort Ning and have them banished to the cold palace?" A cold sweat broke out on Hua's back. "It's true. Cha-Cha and Ning suffered in the cold palace for 3 years because of me." She glared at Shu. "If His Majesty decides to reopen their case, you and I might not even get a proper burial." She yanked her arm away, yelling, "I haven't lost my mind. I don't need you to remind me. If you're so scared of His Majesty digging up the past, then go back to your own palace and keep your mouth shut." Sensing Hua's tone, Shu quickly apologized, saying she was just worried her sister would act rashly. "We need a long-term plan for consort Ning and her daughter. We can't let them continue to bewitch His Majesty." Hana snapped, "I don't need you to tell me what to do. You can go now." As Shu left, she thought to herself, we're in the same boat. You think you can get away? Dream on. Watching her leave, Hua was lost in thought. 3 years ago, I acted out of malice and made a terrible mistake. I will confess my sins. But it seems Shu is still determined to see Cha-Cha and Ning dead. I can't make the same mistake twice. Just then, Prince Xiao Yao arrived with gifts for Cha-Cha. The little girl ran to him with a squeal and was lifted high into the air. Whoa there, little fatty, you've gotten heavier. Hearing this, Cha-Cha immediately turned her head away. I'm not a little fatty. Xiao Yao laughed awkwardly. All right. Our Cha-Cha isn't a little fatty, she's a little princess. He then warmly asked about her injury and brought out a pile of toys to cheer her up. Cha-Cha was happily shaking a rattle Xiao Yao had given her. At that moment, the king of jealousy, the emperor, walked in with a ball. Cha-Cha immediately ran to show off her new toy. Daddy, look! Uncle Xiao-san gave it to me. The emperor took the rattle from her hand and gave her the ball. It's just a rattle, nothing special. Daddy brought you a ball. The little girl watched the ball bounce, clapping her hands. That's so fun! To the emperor's dismay, Xiao Yao then put on a mask and leaned close to Cha-Cha. Look, do you still recognize your uncle? The emperor snatched Cha-Cha away and punched Xiao Yao. She's my daughter. If you cause any more trouble, you're banned from the harem. Xiao Yao was exasperated. You're being so petty. But I do have something to report. Xu Qiong is getting more restless. A few days ago, he was seen with Chong Jing. The emperor said he was already aware of the situation and had a witness. He just needed physical evidence. He tasked Xiao Yao with handling matters outside the palace. Xiao Yao smiled to himself. Finally, I can get some revenge for the little fatty. Soon it was noon, and Consort Ning arrived with fruit. I couldn't just bring it for Cha-Cha. Your Majesty, Your Highness, please have some. She handed a small bag of fruit to Cha-Cha. In no time, the entire bag of grapes was gone. The little girl looked like she hadn't had enough, peering into the empty bag. Where did the grapes go? Mommy, she said sweetly, all gone. Ning smiled and poked her little belly. Why don't you ask your little tummy how many grapes it ate today? The little girl looked down at her own belly, which was straining against her clothes. She then looked at the others and had a shocking realization. Oh my gosh, they don't have little bellies, only I do. She grabbed her little lamb pouch, hid her face in shame, and started to cry. Prince Xiao Yao let out a snort of laughter. Cha-Cha yelled angrily, Stop laughing! Just then, Xiang Chao came to announce that lunch was ready. Xiao Yao asked if he could stay, but the king of jealousy snapped, You mooched my fruit and now you want to mooch my lunch? Why don't you go take care of business first? With that, he picked up Cha-Cha and left. Xiao Yao smiled to himself. Finally, I can get some revenge for the little fatty. Xiao Yao took his guards to meet with the astronomer Shi Qiong. He claimed the Empress Dowager had chosen a bride for him that he disliked, but he couldn't go against her wishes. So he had come to ask the great astronomer for help, knowing he had experience with predictions concerning Consort Ning and her daughter. Shi Qiong tensed at the mention of Consort Ning's name. But Xiao Yao explained, If Master Shu could use the same method and say that I am a cursed star who will bring doom to any wife, the woman will surely be scared off, and my brother and mother will have no choice. Realizing this was about the prince's personal affairs, Shi Qiong relaxed, raised his glass, and agreed to help. Seeing him down the wine in one gulp, Xiao Yao pressed his advantage. This wine is the legendary one-cup knockout. He should be spilling his guts soon. He then asked, I imagine this isn't the first time you've done something like this? Shi Qiong, already feeling the effects of the alcohol, chuckled. I just do what I'm paid to do. Xiao Yao asked quickly, So who paid you to frame Consort Ning and her daughter as bad omens? Shi Qiong's face was flushed. Under the influence, he confessed everything about how Consort Hua and Consort Shu had bribed him to frame them. Soon after, he passed out. Xiao Yao ordered his men to clean up, took the evidence, and left. Just outside the inn, a guard reported that the third prince and Murong Ying were fighting up ahead. Chongye had been compared to Murong Ying since they were children and had never measured up. They argued every time they met. What was it about this time? He went over and pulled them apart. As members of the royal family, how can you fight in the street like this? He then tapped Chongye on the head. All right, what happened? Chongye explained he was out looking for some local toys for his sister when he ran into Murong Ying, who said the toys were too childish and would turn his sister into an idiot. That's when he got angry and started fighting. Murong Ying stood with his hands on his hips. Was I wrong? Not only are you an idiot, but you're also a weakling. You can't even win a fight. Infuriated, the two squared off again, ready for another round. But they both received a punch from Xiao Yao, who scolded them. If you two brats want to fight, go do it on the palace training grounds. Don't embarrass yourselves out here. The two of them then agreed to a match on the training grounds. In Tingzhu Palace, Xiang Chao brought in a tray of snacks. The emperor gently offered a piece of hibiscus pastry to Cha-Cha, but the little girl said she didn't want any. Seeing his daughter act so strangely, the emperor asked Ning, "Why isn't Cha-Cha eating today? Is she not feeling well?" Ning chuckled. Cha-Cha ate all the grapes the kitchen sent over today. Oh, and for lunch she had a piece of lamb, 2 chicken wings, 3 pieces of braised pork, plus a bowl of beef stew and some tofu. She's genuinely full. If you don't believe me, look at her little belly. At that, Cha-Cha looked down at her own chubby tummy with a sad expression. The emperor glanced at the little roll of flesh and thought, I did notice she didn't eat as much as usual at lunch, but I hadn't realized her little belly was quite so prominent. Cha-Cha recalled the pastry her daddy had offered. If I just take a tiny bite, it should be okay, right? Daddy loves me so much, he won't dislike me just because my little belly gets bigger. But Ning and the emperor exchanged a look. They both agreed she'd had enough. After a moment's thought, the emperor said, Cha-Cha's little belly is a bit big. Good girl, you can't eat like this anymore. Cha-Cha froze, and the snack in her hand fell to the floor. Oh no, Daddy dislikes me now too? Ning chimed in. From now on, you only eat what's given to you, no more. The little girl felt incredibly wronged. My daddy and mommy won't let me eat anymore. So I guess I'll just drink some water. After chugging a bowl of water, Cha-Cha declared, I'm not eating, I'm going to play. Looking at her round little shadow, Cha-Cha's eyes filled with tears. This little belly really is a bit uncomfortable when it sticks out like this. Seeing her looking so down, Shangchao asked what was wrong and learned she had eaten too much and her stomach was bloated. She suggested moving around a bit to help with digestion. Cha-Cha nodded seriously. What followed was a self-choreographed workout routine. Left 3 times, right 3 times, twist and shout. Soon she was sweating profusely. She looked down at her little belly. How is this roll of fat still here? As she was worrying about this, the third prince arrived, happily announcing he had brought lots of toys. But Cha-Cha was still moping. Why are you so sad? He asked. Who bullied you? Cha-Cha lifted her shirt to reveal her round, chubby little belly and said with a pout, My little belly bullied me. The third prince froze and pointed at her tummy. It bullied you? Cha-Cha's eyes filled with tears. Yes, it did. Shangchao came over and explained with a smile. The little princess ate too much today and has a bloated tummy. She's been trying to work it off, but the little roll of fat won't go away. The third prince looked at Cha-Cha. The roll of fat really was a bit much. He stroked her head. I'm about to go teach that arrogant Murong Ying a lesson. Come with me. Maybe when you see me beat him to a pulp, your little belly will feel better? Cha-Cha happily agreed. Soon the third prince brought her to the training grounds. He saw Murong Ying sitting calmly on a high fence, looking down at him with disdain. I thought you weren't going to show up. His gaze immediately shifted to Cha-Cha. Good. Cha-Cha came too. The third prince quickly shielded her. What are you so smug about? Don't think I'm afraid of you. And why are you looking at my sister? He was, however, panicking a little on the inside. Murong Ying glared at him. You really don't know your own limits. After I'm done with you, I'll have a nice time playing with my little sister Cha-Cha. The two of them locked eyes, sparks flying. The third prince couldn't take it anymore. Were you born cross-eyed in a past life or something? Seeing her brother's discomfort, Cha-Cha asked with concern. Just then, Murong Ying jumped down from the fence, calling her name. The third prince pulled her back. Little sister, watch out for that idiot! Murong Ying immediately shot back. Who are you calling an idiot? The third prince said with bravado. Calling you an idiot! But he was once again KO'd by Murong Ying's comeback, nearly coughing up blood. To save face, he tried to act calm in front of Cha-Cha. Don't worry, little sister, Big Brother hasn't even shown his true strength yet. Seeing that her brother was okay, Cha-Cha clapped her hands happily. As long as Big Brother is okay! At that moment, Murong Ying stroked Cha-Cha's head. Little dumpling, do you remember me? Cha-Cha replied sweetly. I remember the little big brother who climbs walls. Hearing this, Murong Ying was overjoyed. He told her, My name is Murong Ying. Just from the name, you can tell we're a perfect match, right? Come on, little dumpling, call me Big Brother Murong. Cha-Cha obediently called out, Big Brother Murong! This completely melted his heart. Such an adorable little dumpling. If only I could take her back to Beixia. The third prince at his side roared, Stop talking nonsense! How dare you hit on my sister right in front of me? Do you think I'm dead? The overprotective brother pulled Cha-Cha into his arms. Murong Ying, don't even think about getting any ideas about my sister Cha-Cha. He then told her, Don't be fooled by this kid. He's the one who called people who play with rattles idiots. You love playing with them, so he was calling you an idiot. We're not playing with him. The little girl seemed to understand and nodded. Murong Ying, however, was a master of double standards. Stop trying to stir up trouble. It's idiotic when you play with a rattle, but when Cha-Cha plays with it, it's adorable. The third prince was clearly outmatched. But Murong Ying's focus was entirely on Cha-Cha. With this kid around, I can't even play with Cha-Cha properly. He then asked the third prince, "You called me here for a match, didn't you? I'm ready. Are we fighting or not?" The third prince replied, "Of course we are. I can't let my sister look down on me." He then set Cha-Cha aside. "Wait here, sweetie, and watch your brother teach him a lesson." The third prince braced himself for an attack. Murong Ying clenched his fists and charged. Just as the third prince was about to make his move, Murong Ying dodged and they brushed past each other. But Murong Ying had run right past him to scoop up Cha-Cha. "You fell for it, you idiot," he declared. No matter how much the third prince yelled and cursed behind him, Murong Ying ignored him and ran off with Cha-Cha. The third prince had a terrible feeling. "Oh no, that kid has kidnapped my sister." Just then a voice came from behind him. "Changye, what are you standing there for?" He had come to watch the prince's match, but instead he learned that Princess Cha-Cha had been kidnapped by Murong Ying. In a rage, he ordered all the imperial guards to search the entire palace. Meanwhile, Murong Ying was happily carrying Cha-Cha, preparing to leave the palace, completely unaware of the chaos he had caused. He hadn't gone far when he saw Prince Xiao Yao up ahead. Before he could react, Cha-Cha in his arms excitedly raised her hands and yelled, "Uncle Xiao-san!" Murong Ying broke into a cold sweat. Xiao Yao looked over, surprised. "Why is Cha-Cha with Murong Ying? Since when does my royal brother let outsiders carry her?" Cha-Cha beamed. "Uncle Xiao-san, big brother Murong said he's taking me out to play." Murong Ying was panicking. "If he tries to stop me, this will get complicated." Just then he heard the sound of the imperial guards searching. Xiao Yao asked Murong Ying, "Where are you taking Cha-Cha? Have you informed His Majesty?" Murong Ying acted arrogant. "Where I go is none of your business, Prince Xiao Yao. What, are you trying to stop me?" Before he could finish, Xiao Yao sent a flying kick his way. "How dare you be so rude to me? Let me teach you a lesson." At his side, Cha-Cha waved her little hands anxiously. "Uncle Xiao-san, no fighting, no fighting. We're going out to play." The commotion attracted the attention of the imperial guards. Realizing they were about to be discovered, Xiao Yao let Murong Ying go. He grabbed Murong Ying's arm. "All right, kid, I'll help you. I want to take Cha-Cha out of the palace too. Besides, do you really think you can fight off all those guards by yourself?" Murong Ying agreed on the surface, but was still wary of Xiao Yao, who was, after all, the emperor's man. He quickly picked up Cha-Cha and prepared to sneak out. Xiao Yao even tossed one of Cha-Cha's embroidered slippers on the ground, thinking, "When my royal brother sees this, he'll really start to panic." They were stopped at the palace gate by guards, but they managed to get out without any trouble. Only then did Xiao Yao open the curtain of the sedan chair and let them out. Cha-Cha said sweetly, "Uncle Xiao-san, Cha-Cha didn't talk or move. Did I win?" It turned out Xiao Yao had made a game with her to see who could stay perfectly still and quiet inside the chair. Since Cha-Cha won, Xiao Yao had to buy her delicious food. It was Cha-Cha's first time outside the palace. She was thrilled by the bustling streets, and her eyes lit up at the sight of all the food stalls. At this point, Xiao Yao ditched Murong Ying and prepared to take Cha-Cha to sample some of the local delicacies. He was feeling quite smug. "My royal brother must be going crazy back at the palace. The thought of it is just too satisfying." Palace, the imperial guards presented Cha-Cha's slipper to the emperor. He slammed his fist down on the table. "You fools! All this time, and you've only found a pair of shoes? Go find her. Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, find the little princess. If you don't, I'll have all your heads." When this woman learned her daughter had been kidnapped, she completely broke down, crying her eyes out. This sent Consort Ning into a panic. The emperor's heart ached seeing her so distraught. They've been searching the palace for hours with no luck. It seems Murong Ying has most likely taken Cha-Cha outside. He ordered Li Yu to prepare a set of common clothes and gather some men. "I'm going to find my daughter myself." Hearing this, Ning fell to her knees, begging the emperor to take her with him. Just then, Hua burst through the door, grabbing Ning's hand. "It's all my fault. I didn't raise my son properly. He couldn't even watch over Cha-Cha." The emperor, already on edge, pulled Hua's hand away and snapped, "Ning and I are going out to find Cha-Cha. We don't have time for your nonsense. Get out." Hua was also frantic and pleaded with the emperor to let her come along. After a moment's thought, the emperor agreed. If she came, she could look after Ning. And so he allowed it, but on the condition that she stay by Ning's side. As their carriage headed out of the palace, a messenger reported that the little princess had been spotted at the largest restaurant in the capital. Meanwhile, Cha-Cha was happily eating, while the 2 men beside her bickered over who got to give her food, their eyes shooting daggers at each other. "Cha-Cha already had that dish. You're just an outsider. What right do you have to feed my niece?" As they argued, Cha-Cha intercepted the food from both their chopsticks and stuffed it all in her mouth. Adults have to choose, but kids can have it all. After gorging herself, the little girl patted her belly with a satisfied look. Oh! Murong Ying immediately grabbed her hand. Come on, big brother will take you out to play. But Xiao Yao grabbed her other hand and said gently, Wherever Cha-Cha wants to go, your uncle will take you. The two of them glared at each other, neither willing to let go. It was Cha-Cha's cheer of, Let's go play, that brought them back to their senses. Oh well, as long as Cha-Cha is happy. Just as they were about to leave, they heard a commotion from upstairs accompanied by shouts of, Catch that thief! Before Murong Ying could react, he was shoved aside by a thief, and they were all separated by the rushing crowd. Cha-Cha covered her ears in fear, crying out, Uncle Xiao-san! The restaurant descended into chaos with people chasing the thief. In the confusion, a frightened Cha-Cha hid under a table, crying, Daddy, Mommy, I want a hug. Just then, someone slowly approached her. The little girl thought it was her uncle, but the person who emerged was Consort Ning's father, Ning Chaochen. He knelt down and cautiously approached her. Come out, I'm your grandfather. The little girl had never seen her grandfather before and burst into tears. Ning Chaochen quickly clamped a hand over her mouth. Don't cry, he said coldly. He then put on a fake, kind expression. I'm your mother's daddy. I won't hurt you. Come home with Grandpa. Cha-Cha shook her head frantically, wanting her Uncle Xiao-san. Seeing she wouldn't be easily fooled, Ning Chaochun told her, Grandpa will take you to find your mommy. At the mention of find mommy, the little girl's guard dropped, and she crawled out from under the table. And just like that, in the chaos, Cha-Cha was led away by Ning Chaochun. The real question is this old man one of the good guys? And by a stroke of bad luck, they passed right by the Emperor, who was just arriving. The Emperor hurriedly stepped down from the carriage, only to see Xiao Yao and Murong Ying. He scanned the area but saw no sign of Cha-Cha. In a rage, he grabbed Xiao Yao by the collar. Where is Cha-Cha? Xiao Yao was at a loss. Murong Ying quickly explained that there had been an accident in the restaurant, and Cha-Cha was missing. At his side, Ning fainted at the news, collapsing into Hua's arms. The Emperor exploded, lifting Murong Ying off the ground. You took my daughter out of the palace without permission. If anything happens to her, I will not spare you or your entire Beixia dynasty. Xiao Yao quickly intervened, saying he had found out that Cha-Cha had been led away by a middle-aged man. From his build and appearance, it looked like Ning Chaochun. The Emperor and Ning were shocked to hear his name. The Emperor immediately took Ning's hand, ready to rush to the Ning residence. Ning hesitated. The truth was, after she had been banished to the cold palace, her father, fearing he would be implicated, had cut off all ties with her. The Emperor saw her hesitation and told her not to worry, that he was there for her. Meanwhile, at the Ning residence, Cha-Cha looked around with tears in her eyes. Mommy? I want Mommy. Ning Chaochen grabbed her and warned, Your mother will be here sooner or later. Now you listen to me. If anyone asks how you ended up with me, you tell them you wouldn't stop following me, not that I took you. Do you understand? Cha-Cha looked at this horrible grandfather she had never met before with a confused expression. He then yelled, Do you understand? Cha-Cha was clearly scared. I don't like you, she said with a pout. Ning Chaochen sneered. You don't like me? I'm still your grandfather. Come on, call me Grandpa. Cha-Cha resolutely turned her head away. I'm not going to talk to him. She then spotted some snacks on a table and her eyes lit up. She grabbed one and started eating. I'm ignoring you. Just then, Ning's mother came in. Where did you pick up this little brat? Ning Chaochen stroked his beard and smiled. This is your daughter's daughter. She and her mother are currently high in the Emperor's favor. Whether our family rises or falls depends on her. Ning's mother looked at Cha-Cha with disgust. This little foodie, our snacks are not for you to waste. She slapped the snack out of Cha-Cha's hand. Cha-Cha clutched her smarting arm and stared at her with wide, watery eyes. But her grandmother just pinched her cheek hard. You dare to glare at me? Believe it or not, I'll gouge your eyes out. Ning Chaochen sipped his tea at the side. Go easy on her. I'm counting on this little girl to get me a promotion. At that moment, Cha-Cha pointed at her grandmother and yelled, You're a big meanie! I don't like you, and I'm not afraid of you! The little girl stood on a stool with her hands on her hips, pointing at them both. You ugly little scum! And you ridiculous bad guy! She even made a face at them to mock them. This infuriated her grandmother, who raised her hand to strike her, threatening to rip her mouth open. Honestly, this grandfather and grandmother are just awful. Cha-Cha is in danger. The wicked grandmother threatened to rip Cha-Cha's mouth open. The little girl ran, yelling insults at her, but was eventually caught. At the last second, a shout of "Stop!" from the doorway saved her. Her lifeline had finally arrived. Consort Ning strode in, furious. Cha-Cha was overjoyed to see her mother, and ran into her arms. Ning gave her a thorough checkup. Cha-Cha smiled and told her, Don't worry, Mommy, I'm okay. I just missed you. Relieved, Ning finally relaxed. Just then, her father said coldly, "She's my granddaughter. Do you think I'd let her get hurt after bringing her back?" His wife added with a sneer, "Exactly. You'd think we were monsters. You're being so overprotective. She's not made of glass." Ning looked at her parents, her mind racing. I clearly heard Cha-Cha insulting them. She would never be so rude unless they were being awful to her. And Cha-Cha has never met them, why would she follow them home? At that moment, Cha-Cha pointed at her grandparents and told Ning, "Mommy, I didn't follow them. He said he would help me find you, that's why he brought me here." This enraged her parents, who yelled, "You little brat, what nonsense are you telling your mother? Look at the fine daughter you've raised, telling such lies." Ning couldn't believe her own parents would harm Cha-Cha. They must have had a motive. She retorted, "I am a royal consort personally appointed by His Majesty. According to rank, you should address me as Consort Ning, should you not?" The old couple was stunned and exchanged a look. Is this the same obedient daughter we knew? How dare she speak to us like this? Her father pointed a trembling finger at her. "What did you just say? What did you want us to call you? Say it again." Her mother then berated her for being unfilial and ungrateful. Seeing the two bad people talking to her mother like that, Cha-Cha stood up with her hands on her hips and bravely defended her. "Don't you yell at my mommy, you two ugly little scums." Ning was touched by her daughter's protectiveness. She then said to her parents with a cold face, "It's true, you did raise me. But don't forget, when I was in trouble 3 years ago, you disowned me. Besides, I am no longer a member of the Ning family. I hope you will conduct yourselves with dignity, Lord and Lady Ning." Hearing this, her father was dumbfounded. He never expected his daughter to be so assertive. Fearing he would lose his connection to her, his expression changed in an instant. "Consort Ning, please don't misunderstand. The restaurant was chaotic, and the little princess was frightened. She insisted on coming with me. For her safety, I had no choice but to bring her back." He then gestured to his wife behind him. She immediately started putting on a show, crying and wailing, "We're still your parents. You can't be so heartless." At that moment, the clever little Cha-Cha whispered in Ning's ear, "Don't fall for it. They're lying. It's all fake." Honestly, their acting was so bad. Even a child could see through it. Ning questioned them again. "If I were to fall from favor again, would you still speak to me with this tone? Or would you once again publicly declare you have no such daughter? I have no need for parents like that, and I will never set foot in this place again." With that, she picked up Cha-Cha and turned to leave. The old couple was left speechless, frozen in place. So what do you think the emperor will do to her parents? Later, with Ning's approval, the emperor stripped her parents of their titles, demoted them to commoners, and banished them from the city for life. Just as the emperor was about to leave the Ning residence with them, 3 frantic figures rushed toward them, surrounding Cha-Cha and Ning. The emperor felt completely left out. These annoying people. He grabbed Murong Ying by the ear and Xiao Yao by the collar. "You two, get back to the palace right now. Otherwise, I'll have you both punished for losing the princess." The guards then blocked their way, and they could only watch as the emperor left with Cha-Cha and her mother. They both knew they were at fault for losing her in the first place, so they decided not to provoke the emperor further. In the carriage, the emperor held Cha-Cha and warned her, "From now on, you are not allowed to leave the palace with anyone but your daddy and mommy." Ning also told her with a worried look, "You must never do that again. Your father and I were worried sick." The little girl looked at her mother with wide eyes. Cha-Cha knows she was wrong. It won't happen again. To ease the tension, Hua brought out a bag, explaining she had her servants buy some local snacks, which she had already taste tested. She offered them to Cha-Cha. Cha-Cha's eyes lit up at the sight of so much food. Hana handed her a snack they didn't have in the palace. The little girl was about to take a bite when she remembered her round little belly. Her hand froze. "My little belly just went away." She put the snack down and, fighting back tears, said, "I think I'll wait to eat." Ning and Hua were surprised and asked if she was feeling unwell. The emperor then picked up a meat skewer. "If you don't like that one, how about this one from Daddy?" Cha-Cha quickly crossed her arms. "No, my little belly from this afternoon just went away. Uncle Xiao-san already took me to eat. If I eat more, my little belly will come back, and I don't want it to." The 3 adults burst out laughing, so that was it. Case closed. Cha-Cha then held out her hands to Ning. "Mommy, I need my little pouch to save it for tomorrow." The emperor smiled. "She really is my little foodie?" Ning smiled back at him. "Please don't laugh at her, Your Majesty. In the cold palace, we rarely had enough to eat for months at a time. Cha-Cha got into the habit of saving any good food for when she was hungry. The emperor said it was all his fault for making them suffer." He hugged Cha-Cha tightly. "You are my daughter, the princess of Yanqi. Whatever you want to eat, just tell Daddy, and Daddy will make sure you have it. At this, Hua felt a pang of guilt. If it weren't for my foolishness, Cha-Cha and Ning wouldn't have had to suffer so much in the cold palace. I owe them. Seeing her dazed expression, Ning asked what was wrong. To her surprise, Hua confessed that their suffering in the cold palace was all her fault. Ning was stunned. Sister, what are you saying? Hua then confessed everything to the emperor. 3 years ago, when Cha-Cha was born, she was worried Ning would become even more favored. So she bribed the astronomer Shu Qiong to invent the prophecy that they were a bad omen, leading to their banishment. I have committed a grave sin. I am ready for my punishment, Your Majesty. The emperor's face darkened. I didn't expect her to confess on her own. What is her motive? Is she truly remorseful? This little princess is a master of charm. She quickly grabbed his hand. Daddy, don't be mad, don't be mad. Looking at his adorable daughter, the emperor's anger melted away. He asked her, Your big brother Changye's mother did something wrong. How do you think we should punish her? This was a tough question for the little girl. She didn't understand adult matters and had no idea what Hua had done wrong. She reached out to her mother for help. Ning picked her up and said to Hua, Sister, since I entered the palace, I have only ever wanted to serve His Majesty. I never intended to compete with anyone, yet you went to such lengths to frame me and Cha-Cha. For 3 years my daughter went hungry. Hua was filled with remorse and apologized profusely. Although Ning was still hurt, the past was in the past. But she warned Hua that if she ever tried to scheme against them again, she would not be so lenient. Ning then declared that as a consort, she was not ignorant of the dirty tricks of the harem. She had simply chosen not to use them before. Hua was shocked. She had always thought of Ning as a weak person, but it seemed she had misjudged her. 3 years had matured her. Even without the emperor's protection, she could thrive on her own. At that moment, Cha-Cha stared with her big, beautiful eyes, thinking, I've never seen mommy like this before. I have to protect her. She stood in front of Ning and yelled at Hua, Don't you bully my mommy! Tears welled up in Hua's eyes. She told Cha-Cha she would never bully them again. For the rest of her life, all she wanted was to see Cha-Cha and her son, Changye, grow up safely. Cha-Cha thought of her big brother Changye and muttered his name. Big brother Changye is nice, so his mommy must be a nice person too. The little girl had hit on a key point. The emperor picked her up, agreeing with her. Hua has been in the palace for many years. Although she can be arrogant, she is not inherently evil, just competitive and easily influenced. Ha looked down, thinking, Normally, His Majesty would have flown into a rage by now. The fact that he's so calm probably means I'm not long for this world. The emperor then told her, For such a grave crime, whether you live or die will depend on your actions. You weren't the only one who colluded with Shu Qiong, there was also Shu. I've had the evidence of your bribes for a long time. I just didn't expect you to confess. Hua was stunned to learn he had known all along. The emperor, seeing that she genuinely cared for Cha-Cha, decided to give her a chance to redeem herself. He told her to return to her palace, keep quiet, and wait for his signal to reveal the truth publicly. Hua was still worried. Will His Majesty really let me go? The emperor smiled. Don't worry, you'll be of use soon enough. He then took Ning's hand. I will get justice for you. They returned to the palace very late. The emperor was reluctant to leave Ning and Cha-Cha. But as he turned to go, Ning worried. It's so late. If His Majesty has to go all the way back to his own palace, it will take even more time. She blushed and said, Your Majesty, why don't you stay here tonight? Not only did he not refuse, but he eagerly swept her into his arms. The eunuch Li Yu saw this and was overjoyed. Finally, the consort and His Majesty have truly reconciled. The emperor held Ning in his arms and whispered, Wan Wan! Ning looked at him in surprise. He still remembered her given name. The emperor looked tenderly at the woman he loved. I have always remembered your name, Ning Wenqing. Years ago, I didn't even give you a chance to explain before I sent you and Cha-Cha to the cold palace. You must have hated me for that, didn't you? Of course she had hated him. But as time went on, she had come to terms with it. Since entering the palace, she had been showered with his favor, and the cold palace, despite its hardships, had been a safe haven from the constant plotting of others. And besides, she had Cha-Cha. They had suffered, but they had survived. The emperor hugged her tightly, promising that from now on, he would ensure that she and Cha-Cha were safe and happy every single day. Just as the two were about to get intimate, Cha-Cha burst into the room saying in her sweet voice, Time for sleep, mommy wants a hug. The two of them were startled. Ning pushed the emperor 10 feet away. Cha-Cha, what are you doing here? Xiangqiao rushed in to take Cha-Cha back to her own room. But the little girl launched herself into Ning's arms, sleepily crying, I want mommy. Defeated, the emperor sent Xiangqiao away and let Cha-Cha sleep with them. Soon Cha-Cha was fast asleep in her mother's arms. But just as Ning was covering her with a blanket, Cha-Cha kicked it off, mumbling in her sleep, "Little belly, go away. Doesn't that remind you of how you slept as a child?" When Cha-Cha was finally sleeping soundly, the Emperor took Ning to the side chamber. That's right, for some exercise. The next morning, Li Yu and Xiang Chao stood outside the door, staring at each other. His Majesty and the consort are both sleeping in today. That must have been quite a workout. At that moment, a sleepy Cha-Cha came out with one bare foot. "Good morning, Gugu. Good morning, big sister." Seeing her barefoot, Li Yu rushed over and picked her up. Cha-Cha told him, "Mommy and Daddy are still sleeping," so Cha-Cha got up by herself. Cha-Cha's tummy is hungry. Xiang Chao then got her washed and dressed and arranged for breakfast. In her sleep, Ning vaguely heard Cha-Cha's voice and reached out a hand. "It's okay, Cha-Cha. Mommy's here." But her hand was caught by the Emperor, and she woke with a start. The Emperor gently stroked her face. "Wan, did I scare you?" Only then did she remember that she had let him stay the night and Cha-Cha hadn't slept with her. She suddenly said to him, "Oh no, you've missed morning court." The Emperor poked her nose with a fond look. "It's fine. Li Yu will send my regards and appease the court. Besides, I have more important things to do today." What do you think those important things could be? After such a strenuous workout, not only did the two of them oversleep, but they were also caught in bed by their daughter. How embarrassing. When Cha-Cha saw them emerge, she ran over to greet them. The Emperor gently pinched her chubby cheek. "Good girl, Cha-Cha. Go have breakfast with your mommy. Daddy has to go see your big brother Chongjing." Hearing his name, Cha-Cha immediately pictured their last encounter. "Oh no, they're going to fight again." She quickly waved her hands at the Emperor. "Daddy, don't fight with Big Brother and don't get mad, okay?" The Emperor warmly picked her up. "Don't worry, Daddy won't fight with your brother." Worried Cha-Cha would delay him, Ning quickly took her from his arms. The sight of the three of them together was quite heartwarming. After the Emperor left, Xiang Chao took Cha-Cha to get changed. But after she was dressed, Xiang Chao looked surprised. "This dress is so hard to put on today." Cha-Cha pinched her own protruding little belly and said sadly, "It's all because of my fat," and burst into tears. Xiang Chao quickly comforted her. "Little princess, you're still growing. It's normal to put on a little weight. Besides, your mother made this dress for you last year, so of course it's a bit small." Cha-Cha clenched her fists, determined to lose weight. To cheer her up, Xiang Chao offered to go for a run with her in the Imperial Garden. Xiang Chao cheered her on from behind as the little girl chugged along. Just then they ran into Murong Ying. "Cha-Cha, what are you doing running here?" He gently poked her nose. "I was going to come see you this morning, but your father was here, so I had to wait for him to leave. It's not that I'm afraid of him, I just didn't want to make things awkward for you." After explaining, he snapped his fingers, and a guard brought over a box of candied hawthorns. Cha-Cha's eyes lit up at the sight of them. "Wow, yummy food. Food I've never had before." After a moment of internal struggle, she quickly waved her hands. No, it's not your fault, Big Brother Murong." Murong Ying was confused, thinking she was still mad at him. But Cha-Cha explained that it was because she was trying to lose weight and couldn't eat them, not because she was angry. Murong Ying laughed and offered to run with her. And so he took her hand, and the two of them walked and chatted happily. The scene was so sweet that even the maids nearby marveled that they looked like the golden children from heavenly tales. Suddenly, the overprotective Chongye ran over, yelling, "What nonsense are you talking about? How could my sister be a golden child with Murong Ying? Get out of the way!" He grabbed Cha-Cha's hand to pull her away. "We're not playing with him. He's the one who lost you yesterday." But Murong Ying held tight to her other hand. "Why are you always in the way? Cha-Cha has already forgiven me. What's it to you?" The little girl was caught in the middle, utterly distressed. What could she do to de-escalate this impending fight? How adorable is this little princess? With just one sentence, she can defuse a tense situation. The third prince and Murong Ying were about to fight over Cha-Cha again. But our adorable princess sweetly asked her third brother, "Can we run with Big Brother Murong?" Changye, unable to refuse his cute little sister, immediately smiled and agreed. Although Murong Ying was a little annoyed by the goofy prince, he put up with it for Cha-Cha's sake. Cha-Cha then happily took both her brother's hands and they ran off together, much to the relief of the nervous maids. Even Hua sighed, "These children are just too cute. Since that Murong boy is here, His Majesty must be on his way soon, right?" Ning shook her head. "His Majesty is the ruler of a nation. Of course, his duties come first." But she was worried. By now, His Majesty should be at the Eastern Palace. I hope he and the Crown Prince don't argue again. Over at the Eastern Palace, the Emperor, seeing that the Crown Prince had been behaving himself lately, got straight to the point. "Who put you up to sending me those drugged snacks?" The Crown Prince was terrified and quickly said it was because Consort Shu hadn't seen him in a long time and had asked for his help. To protect his title, he didn't tell the truth and kept kowtowing, saying he had only agreed out of pity and had no idea the snacks had been tampered with. Hearing it was Shu again, the emperor let him rise. The crown prince put on a sincere act. I have been reflecting these past few days. As an older brother, I truly should not have been so petty with my younger sister. The emperor knew that while he was saying all the right things, he couldn't look him in the eye. His apology was not sincere. The crown prince then ordered some gifts to be prepared for Cha-Cha as an apology. The emperor stood up. Your sister is still young. She's not interested in jewelry. If you are truly sincere, find some delicious food or fun toys for her. That will make her happy. It's good that you've shown remorse. I'll be leaving now. The crown prince, seeing how much his father valued Cha-Cha, thought, I'll just go along with him and not provoke her for now. The most important thing is to keep my title. As the emperor left, he thought, Chongjing claims to have reflected, but he is still not being honest, just going through the motions. How did it come to this between a father and son? He suddenly thought of the adorable Cha-Cha and decided to go see his daughter. Arriving at the imperial garden, he saw a group of them chatting. He thought they were slacking off, but Li Yu told him Cha-Cha was there, so he decided to take a look. Suddenly his eyes widened and he roared, At Murongying, let go of my daughter. Cha-Cha ran over happily, shouting, Daddy! The emperor picked her up and without even looking at Murongying, pointed at him. Cha-Cha, remember, stay away from this person. Be careful he doesn't lose you again. So what are you all doing? Cha-Cha said pitifully, I'm too fat. I have to lose my little belly or I won't be able to fit into the dresses Mommy made for me. The emperor poked her nose with a fond smile. My daughter doesn't need to do that. We should treat our fat as a part of our body, not something to get rid of. Cha-Cha looked completely baffled, not understanding what her daddy meant. This emperor was so doting. Would Cha-Cha's diet plan continue? How lucky is it to have such a doting emperor for a father? The little princess was upset because her chubby frame wouldn't fit into her dresses. But the tyrant emperor waved his hand and declared, Send my decree at once. Order the palace seamstresses to make all of the little princess's dresses for the next 2 years. He then warmly told Cha-Cha, You're a growing girl. Every bit of fat has its reason for being there. And so Cha-Cha decided to give up her diet. Even if she was a little fatty, she would be a little fatty who let every bit of fat have its reason for being. This declaration completely charmed Hua and Xiangchao, who cheered, Well said, Cha-Cha. Just then, Murongying offered her a snack. That's the spirit. Here, eat this. But the overprotective third prince smacked it out of his hand, pulled Cha-Cha into a hug, and said with a smile, Little sister, eat mine. This one is better. Murongying would not tolerate this. He snatched the snack from Changye's hand and roared, These snacks are all mine. You don't get any. This scared Cha-Cha, who looked at them with a pout. If you two are like this, I won't get to eat anything. Changye puffed out his chest. Murongying, you scared my sister! I was doing you a favor by taking your stuff. Cha-Cha is my sister. What right do you have to feed her? Murongying took Cha-Cha's hand. Because Cha-Cha calls me Big Brother Murong. I've decided she's my little sister too, so why can't I feed her? The two of them locked eyes, sparks flying, and looked ready to fight again. Just then, the emperor appeared. Both of you, be quiet! He then cast a silencing spell on them both and pulled Cha-Cha aside. Good girl, don't eat things from outsiders. If you want something, Daddy will have the imperial kitchen prepare it. He then said to Murongying sternly, You are a foreign man, yet you repeatedly trespass in my harem. Are these the manners of your Beixia nation? He then ordered Li Yu to throw Murongying out. But Murongying interrupted him. I came to the palace on behalf of the Beixia dynasty to discuss matters of the Golden Melon Festival. The emperor didn't humor him. The Golden Melon Festival is being handled by the Ministry of Rights. In that case, I'll have someone take you to them so you can discuss it properly. Murongying was dumbfounded. Discussing it with that group of long-winded old men will take forever. At this, Changye pointed at him and laughed. Murongying, why don't you get lost? Murongying thought defiantly. I'm not going. I'd like to see if he really dares to throw me out. But at that moment, the emperor spoke. Changye, you are not a child anymore. It's time you started sharing my burdens. You will accompany Murongying to the Ministry of Rights and observe. Could Changye's embarrassed expression have dug out a 2-bedroom apartment? Murongying at his side laughed. Serves you right for gloating. Cha-Cha looked at her 2 big brothers with a question mark over her head. Why are they so unhappy? She then said to them seriously, Big brothers, listen to Daddy. After you finish your work, we can play together. She then held out her finger to make a pinky promise with them. The 2 of them were still annoyed, their eyes shooting daggers. But seeing the adorable Cha-Cha, they couldn't refuse her. Are you still playing with the people you made pinky promises with as a child? Cha-Cha had made them pinky promise to play with her after they were done. The two of them, not wanting to be outdone, raced to the Ministry of Rights, both wanting to quickly deal with the old fogies so they could get back to playing with Cha-Cha. Cha-Cha even called out warmly after them, "Be careful, big brothers, don't fall." But the next second, Chongye was sent flying by a punch from Murong Ying. "Get out of my way! I don't have time for you right now. I need to get rid of these long-winded old men and you as quickly as possible so I can get back to Cha-Cha." The two of them ran off, leaving a very confused Cha-Cha behind. Are my big brothers fighting again? Meanwhile, the emperor told Hua to wait in her palace for his summons. After she agreed, she wondered, what could it be about? But after she left, the family of three was together again. The emperor was about to take Cha-Cha and Ning back to Tingju Palace, and told Ning to keep a close eye on Cha-Cha and not let her run out to play, no matter what they heard. Ning was full of questions, but she remembered the emperor's promise to get her justice, and decided not to ask, trusting that he had a plan. She assured him she would watch over Cha-Cha. As the sun set, Cha-Cha sat alone at the gate, staring out at the darkening sky. I promised Big Brother Murong and Third Brother I would wait for them in the Imperial Garden. When are they coming back? She then started to head outside, muttering, "Mommy said you always have to keep your promises." Suddenly, Xiang Chao called out from behind her, "Little princess, His Majesty said you and your mother are not to leave Tingju Palace today." This startled Cha-Cha. She looked troubled. "But I made a promise to my big brothers." Xiang Chao offered to play with her, but the little girl turned away with a disappointed look. "No, it's okay. I'll just play by myself." Cha-Cha stood in the courtyard, racking her brain for a way to get out. Then she noticed the eaves of the roof, and remembered how her big brother Murong could fly over them. And so Cha-Cha became a wall climber. She was just about to make it to the top when she slipped and slid back down. Exhausted, she dragged over a stool to try again, determined to make it over. Just as she was about to succeed, Li Yu arrived, announcing that His Majesty had summoned Consort Ning to the Empress Dowager's palace. Before he could finish, he saw the wall-climbing Cha-Cha and was so shocked he dropped his whisk, rushing over to get her down. Just then, Ning came out. "Cha-Cha, what are you doing on the wall?" The little girl was clearly a bit scared. She told her mother with a pout, "I promised my third brother and big brother Murong I would wait for them. I have to keep my promise, but Daddy won't let me out." Ning told her to wait in the palace while she went to see the emperor and ask when she could go out. The little girl happily agreed. Ning then went to the Empress Dowager's chambers, but when she entered, she was met with a shocking scene. What was going on? After greeting the emperor and the Empress Dowager, Shu started screaming like a madwoman. "You bitch, it was you, it was all you! You did this to get revenge on me!" Worried she would frighten Ning, the emperor settled her and then roared, "You were caught colluding with an official and now you dare to slander Consort Ning? She has no quarrel with you." Shu's face was a mask of terror. "Your Majesty, she came to get revenge on me." The emperor sent her flying with a kick, and she stammered, No, she came to get revenge on Shu Qiang." In her panic, Shu was still lying, claiming that it was the astronomer who had declared Ning a bad omen 3 years ago, leading to her banishment. Now that she was free, she was obviously out for revenge, and Shu herself was just an innocent victim. At this, Shu Qiang could no longer stay silent. "Consort Shu, how can you throw all the blame on me?" He then started kowtowing and confessing. He admitted that 3 years ago, Shu and Hua had approached him and paid him to frame Ning as a bad omen, and he had foolishly agreed. This sent Shu into a frenzy. "That's a lie! Hua, are you just going to stand there and let him slander us?" She was thinking, "If you don't help me, neither of us is getting out of this. We'll go down together." But Hua, instead of helping her, confessed the truth. "It was you and I who instructed Shu Qiang to frame our sister Ning, causing her and Cha-Cha to be banished to the Cold Palace." Hearing this, Shu was horrified into silence. Has Hua lost her mind? Just then, the emperor kicked her again. "Do you still refuse to confess?" He then said sternly, "Even without Hua's testimony today, I have other evidence to convict you. Why do you think I summoned you to the Empress Dowager's palace?" Xiao Yao then revealed the rest of the story. He had already obtained Shu Qiang's confession, and the evidence of Shu's bribery had long been in the emperor's hands. "You might as well give up. Also, didn't you run into Shu Qiang before you came here? He wanted some money from you, and you two started arguing." And as luck would have it, His Majesty appeared at that exact moment. "Are you wondering why only you were tied up?" "Because I was disguised as Shu Qiang, so none of you are getting away." The emperor then stood and said to the Empress Dowager, "Mother, Shu has colluded with an official and framed Consort Ning. I have decided to have both her and Shu Qiang executed to restore order to the harem." The Empress Dowager agreed. "It should be so. But what about Hua? What do you plan to do with her?" Seeing Hua's worried expression, The emperor considered. Hua confessed first and helped expose the crime. She also genuinely cares for Cha-Cha, and Changye is still young and needs his mother. Therefore, I will spare her the death penalty, but I will strip her of her title and demote her to a commoner. With everything settled, the emperor turned to the teary-eyed Ning. I have finally fulfilled my promise to you. Let's go see our daughter. Phew. I was worried you had forgotten about Cha-Cha. Even Xiao Yao sighed. I never knew my royal brother could be so cheesy. Just then, Cha-Cha suddenly ran into Ning's arms. Xiang Chao, following behind her, explained that the little princess had been worried when her mother didn't return, so she had come looking for her. The emperor poked her little nose with a fond smile. It's all right. Cha-Cha, today Daddy finally punished the bad guys who bullied you and your mommy. The considerate little girl said, Thank you, Daddy, and gave him a kiss. Seeing this, Xiao Yao leaned in and pointed to his own cheek. Cha-Cha, your uncle helped a lot too. How about a kiss for your uncle? But the emperor shooed him away. The Empress Dowager was delighted by the scene and called out, My sweet granddaughter, come to your imperial grandmother. She held Cha-Cha and asked the emperor, The Golden Melon Festival is about to begin. The princes of all nations will be competing. Who will represent our Yanqi nation? We can't lose face. The emperor was suddenly worried. He recalled the prince's previous pathetic performance and cringed. Chongjing was still confined, which left only Chongye. The thought did not fill him with confidence. But he had no choice but to entrust the task to Chongjing and Chongye. In his study, the emperor said, You two, as members of the royal family, will assist the Ministry of Rites with all arrangements. Chongjing, I have specially released you from confinement for this festival. As the eldest son and the heir, you must set an example for Chongye. Hearing this, Chongjing thought, I've just been released. I must obey father now. He respectfully replied that he would not disappoint him and would follow all his instructions. The emperor could tell Chongjing was not being sincere and was slightly annoyed, but he still instructed them both to prepare for the tournament the next day and not to bring shame to their nation. After the princes left, the emperor thought to himself, Chongjing still doesn't understand. It's not about doing what I tell him to do. I want him to know what he should do. Oh well, I'll deal with it after the festival. Soon it was time for the competition. It was Chongjing and Chongyi's turn to fight. Cha-Cha was in the emperor's arms, playing with a pomegranate. On the stage, Murong Ying sent his opponent flying with a single kick. He then turned to Cha-Cha to show off. Look, big brother Murong won. He waited for her praise, thinking, I'll win Cha-Cha over and take her back to Beixia as soon as possible. But to his dismay, Princess Cha-Cha was completely engrossed in her pomegranate and didn't even look at him. Murong Ying felt like he'd been struck by lightning. He never thought he'd lose to a piece of fruit. As he stood there dazed, Changyi asked, Are you going to fight or not? This snapped him back to reality. Yes, I'm still fighting, he said. Who's next? The crowd below was silent for a moment before Chongyi stepped forward. I'll go next. Chongjing, however, had his own plan. Murong Ying is highly skilled. I'm evenly matched with him. If I let him fight a few more rounds and wear him out, my chances of winning will be higher. Murong Ying was indeed starting to feel tired. He wiped the sweat from his brow, took a deep breath, and began to fight Chongye. But Chongye was defeated in a single blow. This made the emperor and the empress dowager in the stands very worried. At the same time, Cha-Cha finally managed to break open her pomegranate. The little girl hadn't been paying attention to the match at all and was overjoyed to finally be able to eat her fruit. Hearing Chongye cry out in pain, Cha-Cha looked up. Third brother fell. She immediately dropped her pomegranate and toddled over to him, completely ignoring Murong Ying, who was calling her name, and anxiously asked if he was okay. Chongye said he was used to falling. He was just embarrassed. She was relieved to see he was fine. Just then, Chongjing stepped onto the stage to challenge Murong Ying. Annoyed that Chongjing was blocking his view of Cha-Cha, Murong Ying attacked. Chongjing dodged, sneering to himself. Chongye is such a loser. Even a war of attrition could have worn Murong Ying out, but he was defeated so quickly. Chongjing glanced at the emperor's seat. If I lose, father will be furious. Not only will I be punished, but my position as crown prince will be at risk. Murong Ying raised his fist. How dare you get distracted while fighting me? Take this. He sent Chongjing flying off the stage, rolling several feet away. At his side, Cha-Cha rushed over to help. Big brother, are you okay? Cha-Cha will help you up. Chongjing got up, saying, I'm fine. He felt a little guilty. I was so mean to her before, but she still calls me big brother. Just then, Murong Ying walked to the edge of the stage and said happily to Cha-Cha, Cha-Cha, I won again. See, no one can beat me. I even beat the crown prince of your Yanqi nation. Now you've gotten your revenge. But Cha-Cha just glared at him, thinking, Big brother Murong knocked down my third brother, and now he's knocked down my big brother. That's so mean. Murong Ying, completely oblivious to her displeasure, was still yelling from the stage, "Who's next?" The crowd below decided it was better not to go up and get beaten. Just then, Princess Cha-Cha put one hand on her hip, pointed at Murong Ying on the stage, and declared in the fiercest toddler voice she could manage, "I'll fight you." This 3-year-old foodie fatty was actually going to avenge her brothers. Murong Ying was stunned. "You'll fight me?" At his side, Chongjing grabbed her arm. "Stop messing around." But Cha-Cha turned to him with a confident look and patted her chest. "Big brother, I'm here to get revenge for you." She then marched forward with a determined stride. "The princess has arrived." At the same time, Consort Ning in the stands couldn't sit still and was about to go get her. But the emperor gently stopped her. "My daughter has courage. How is she being disobedient? Let her go." The tiny little girl was barely taller than the stage itself. She stopped and thought, "Wow, the stage is so high. How am I supposed to get up there?" Just then, Murong Ying held out a hand. "I'll help you up." The little girl reached for his hand. "Okay." But then she quickly pulled it back. No, you're my opponent. I can't let you help me." Murong Ying looked at the adorable Cha-Cha below him and couldn't help but smile. The little girl has principles. "Then how are you going to get up here to fight me?" Cha-Cha pointed at the stage. "I've climbed the walls of Tingzhou Palace. I'm not afraid of this." She then summoned all her strength and managed to get her hands on the edge. Thankfully, Changye rushed over to give her a boost, otherwise it would have been quite an embarrassing scene. Seeing Cha-Cha had made it, Murong Ying hurried over to greet her. The little girl, who had used all her energy to get up, plopped down on the stage, panting and waving her hand. "Wait a minute, I'm a little tired." This little dumpling was just too cute. Murong Ying then sat down beside her and stroked her head. "All right, Cha-Cha, what should we compete in?" The little girl cupped her chin in her hands and thought hard. Murong Ying suggested, "Since you're tired, why don't we have a meditation contest? Let's see who falls asleep first." Cha-Cha rejected him with a look of disgust. "Who competes in sleeping?" Suddenly, she remembered the pomegranate from before. She stood up and declared, "Let's have a pomegranate eating contest. Let's see who can finish first." Murong Ying was a little surprised but ultimately agreed. The two of them then sat cross-legged, each holding a pomegranate. Changyi cheered from below, "Go, Cha-Cha, go!" Cha-Cha held her pomegranate with confidence. When the drum sounded to start the contest, she started picking at it with all her might, thinking, "I have to win." She managed to break it open, and then started eating furiously. Murong Ying watched her, thinking to himself, "I never would have guessed that someone so small could be so competitive. So, will Cha-Cha be able to win the competition?" Her fierce competitive spirit made the emperor overjoyed. Cha-Cha is so young, yet she already knows how to play to her strengths. She's so much better than her brothers. Ning at his side also smiled with pride. Murong Ying watched her, thinking, "The little girl wants to win one for Yanqi so badly, I have to help her. Losing to my future wife isn't embarrassing." When Cha-Cha saw that Murong Ying had already broken open his pomegranate, she panicked and started gnawing at hers again. Murong Ying said with concern, "Cha-Cha, do you want to take a break?" The little girl, still chewing, waved her hand. "Don't talk, just compete." Murong Ying smiled. All right, whatever you say." He knew he could have smashed the pomegranate open with one hit, but for Cha-Cha, he painstakingly picked out each seed one by one so she could win. He watched her, thinking how adorable she was. Suddenly, Cha-Cha looked up, shocked. "Oh my gosh, I'm already finished, and Big Brother Murong still has more than half left." Just then, the drum sounded and the competition was over. Princess Cha-Cha is the first to finish a whole pomegranate. Princess Cha-Cha wins. The little girl was ecstatic, and even Murong Ying was clapping for her. But then she sat down with a thud and started making whimpering sounds. Murong Ying rushed over in a panic and cupped her little face in his hands. "What's wrong? Let me see." The little girl's face was beet red, her cheeks puffed out. After a few whimpers, she turned into a pea shooter, spitting a stream of pomegranate seeds all over Murong Ying. After a few coughs, she finally felt better. Murong Ying quickly patted her back. "You ate too fast and choked." He then picked her up and jumped off the stage. "Come on, Big Brother Murong will take you to get some water." But the overprotective Changye snatched her away. "Don't hold my sister." Defeated, Murong Ying had no choice but to order Xiangchao to get some water. At the same time, the emperor and Ning also rushed over. "What's wrong, Cha-Cha? Come on, let father hold you." The little girl threw herself into the emperor's arms and announced proudly, "Daddy, Mommy, I won!" The emperor's face was filled with adoration. "That's my daughter. A princess of Yanqi should have such courage." He then bestowed upon her the title of Guardian Princess of the Nation. The little girl had no idea what a title was and just yelled to Changye, "Third brother, I won." Changyi immediately gave her a thumbs up, telling her she was the best. But he was thinking, I'm such a useless big brother. I couldn't win, so my sister had to do it. He then looked at Murong Ying. If I could be as strong as him, I could protect my sister. This made Murong Ying uncomfortable. Why are you staring at me like that? Changyi took a deep breath, bowed to Murong Ying, and declared he wanted to learn kung fu from him and be his student. This stunned Murong Ying, who stood there with his mouth wide open. What the heck? What are you talking about? Can these former rivals now become master and student? Changyi said with determination. I want to be your student. Murong Ying was shocked. Are you serious? Changyi blushed and pointed at himself. Of course I'm serious. Are you afraid that after I learn all your skills, you won't be able to show off in front of Cha-Cha anymore? Murong Ying stifled a laugh and waved his hand. You want to learn from me? You've got a long way to go. If you want to be my student, first call me master. To learn how to protect his sister, Changyi had no choice but to blush and call out, Master! Hearing this, Murong Ying was lost in thought. I'm so used to his goofy side, this serious look is hard to resist. He agreed. But my training is intense. Don't you dare run away halfway through. Changyi happily promised he wouldn't. At that moment, Cha-Cha, seeing that they weren't fighting, ran over and took both their hands. It's so nice when third brother and big brother Murong don't fight. Even the emperor at his side sighed. Changyi is finally acting like a prince. This development shocked Hua, who grabbed Ning's arm. Sister, what's gotten into Changyi? Do you think he's been possessed by something? I need to find a priest to take a look at him. Ning told her with an exasperated look. Changyi is finally showing some ambition. This is a good thing. But at that moment, the emperor pulled Ning over and yelled at Hua. Where did you come from? What nonsense are you spouting? My son is destined for greatness. He then pulled Changyi to his side and praised him. This scene was witnessed by the crown prince, who felt a little dejected. Father's attitude toward my third brother has improved. It's all because I couldn't beat Murong Ying. Just then, Li Yu came to announce, Your Majesty, the banquet is ready. The emperor happily picked up Cha-Cha. Daddy's taking you to eat yummy food. Everyone was seated at the banquet, waiting for the meal to begin. But our Princess Cha-Cha was drooling and looking around. What smells so good? She then ran straight to Prince Xiao Yao's table. This made Xiao Yao ecstatic. Cha-Cha came to find her uncle Xiao San, but to his dismay, Cha-Cha's eyes were glued to the dishes on his table. She completely ignored him and hugged a large platter of meat, exclaiming, Meat! Xiao Yao really wanted to cry at that moment. I'm less important than a plate of meat. Sure enough, a foodie only has eyes for food. She popped a large piece of meat into her mouth with a look of pure satisfaction. The emperor saw this and immediately ordered Li Yu to note down what dish it was and to have the imperial kitchen develop some new dishes for the little princess to try. He then picked up a piece of meat. Cha-Cha, come to Daddy. Daddy has already ordered some new dishes to be developed. We'll eat them on the pleasure boat during the grand celebration in a few days. The little girl asked sweetly in his arms, Daddy, what's a pleasure boat? Is it big? The emperor poked her little face with a fond look. Of course it's big. Daddy will take you on a cruise on the big boat, okay? Cha-Cha was filled with excitement at the thought of being on a big boat. A few days later, a massive dragon boat slowly sailed down the moat, with crowds of people lining the banks to welcome them. On the boat, the emperor held Cha-Cha with one arm and had the other around Ning. It was a truly happy and heartwarming scene. Look, Cha-Cha, this is Daddy's empire, and one day it will be Cha-Cha's too. This statement made those around them wonder, what? Is His Majesty going to pass the throne to the little princess? There's never been a female ruler in history. The emperor then looked tenderly at Ning. Wan, you and Cha-Cha are the most important part of my empire. With a prosperous nation before me and my wife and daughter in my arms, I have everything I need. This made Ning blush. Is His Majesty going to make her his empress? You've never seen the Tyrant Emperor so happy. During the Golden Melon Festival, the entire nation celebrated, and the emperor was blissfully holding Princess Cha-Cha with one arm and consort Ning with the other. Cha-Cha was thrilled by the fireworks in the sky, exclaiming, So pretty! But when the fireworks faded, the little girl was a little sad, but next second again attracted by other things, excitedly running over to touch it. Just then, Xiao Yao came over with a rattle. Cha-Cha, come to your uncle. I brought your favorite rattle. At the same time, Hua arrived with a large platter of snacks. Cha-Cha, I have snacks here. Come and eat. Before Cha-Cha could move, Murong Ying appeared, ready to make his move first. He took her hand and offered to take her ashore to light her favorite fireworks. Cha-Cha was surrounded by them all and was getting a little dizzy. The emperor, seeing this, was overcome with jealousy and yelled at the three of them. Don't crowd my daughter so much. Let Cha-Cha go wherever she wants to go. Cha-Cha, however, was playing with her rattle when she noticed her reflection in the water. She pointed at herself and said with curiosity, "There's one Cha-Cha here and another Cha-Cha there." Seeing her standing alone by the edge of the boat, everyone yelled, "Cha-Cha, be careful!" The Emperor snatched her up, telling her worriedly, "It's dangerous here, you can't stand here." The scene was praised by the common people, who called the little princess a lucky charm. The Emperor and Cha-Cha waved to the crowds on the shore. The Emperor thought to himself, "Well said. Of course my daughter is a lucky charm." The people on the shore chanted in unison, "Long live your majesty! Long live the princess!" The Emperor then ordered Liu to prepare sky lanterns, as he wanted to pray for the people of Yanqi. He and Ning then wrote their wishes on a lantern and released it together. On it was written, "May the nation be prosperous and the people at peace. May our family be happy and whole." Cha-Cha at his side said happily, "Daddy and Mommy's lantern is so pretty." But the next second, she was sad. "I want to release one too, but I don't know how to write." Murong Ying came over with a lantern and asked, "What's your wish, Cha-Cha? I'll write it for you." Changyi then brought another one. "Look, Cha-Cha, you can write on mine too. It's too crowded here, let's go to the stern to release them." The little girl happily agreed, and the three of them went to the back of the boat. Cha-Cha then touched her head, saying she had so many wishes she didn't know which one to write. Changye and Murong Ying said in unison, "Write the most important one." And so Cha-Cha released her lantern, murmuring, "I wish for there to always be endless meat to eat." Suddenly she saw the distant lanterns and thought, "Why do those look more and more like the peanuts Daddy wrapped for me?" Sure enough, a foodie only has eyes for food. Murong Ying thought she wanted to eat peanuts and was about to go get her some. Changye, not to be outdone, also rushed off. The two of them disappeared from Cha-Cha's sight in an instant. Cha-Cha was left waiting for her brothers alone. Suddenly, she heard a noise behind her, and happily thought they were back. But the next second, a large hand pushed her from behind, and the little girl fell into the moat. Will Cha-Cha be rescued safely? As she was pushed, Cha-Cha's thoughts were of her daddy and mommy. She held her breath with all her might, and started to paddle, thinking, "I've never lost when catching fish in the Imperial Garden. I'm not afraid." Just then, she saw a large koi fish swim past her. At the same time, the people on the boat realized the little princess had fallen into the water. The Emperor and Ning were horrified. "What are you all standing there for? Save the little princess." In a panic, the Emperor yelled at the water, "Cha-Cha, hold on, Daddy's coming to save you!" Before he could jump in, Liu grabbed him. "Your Majesty, you can't go in." The Emperor roared back, "Get out of my way." Just then, the two who had gone to get peanuts returned. Hearing everyone shouting "Princess," they knew something was wrong. Cha-Cha was in the water. All they could see was one of her embroidered slippers floating on the surface. Murong Ying immediately dropped the plate and dove in. Chang'e was about to follow, but the Crown Prince stopped him. "Don't be reckless. You can't swim. You'll only drown yourself." Without another word, the Crown Prince himself jumped in. This stunned the Emperor and Chang'e. "Big brother? Doesn't he hate Cha-Cha?" Murong Ying and the Crown Prince frantically searched for her. The water in the moat is freezing cold and so dark. Even if Cha-Cha is a good swimmer, she must be terrified. "Cha-Cha, you have to be okay." On the boat, Ning was in tears, worried sick. Just then, someone spotted Cha-Cha in the distance. The little girl was holding a lotus flower, being carried to the surface by a giant koi fish. Everyone was amazed. The little princess is being carried by a koi. She's truly a lucky charm sent from heaven. Our Yanqi nation is blessed by the gods. Cha-Cha happily waved to the Emperor and Ning on the boat. The Emperor, after confirming it was his daughter, excitedly ordered his men to bring her back at once. Meanwhile, Murong Ying swam desperately towards her. Once he had her, he was finally relieved. "Don't be scared, Cha-Cha. Big brother will take you up now." Once she was safely back on the boat, the Crown Prince quickly told Chang'e to get a cloak. Everyone crowded around. The Emperor's heart, which had been in his throat, finally settled back into his chest. Cha-Cha shivered in his arms, saying, "So cold." He immediately carried her into the cabin and summoned the imperial physician to check on her. The Emperor anxiously asked for the diagnosis. The physician explained that the princess had only caught a chill and would be fine after drinking the ginger soup he had prepared. Liu quickly brought the soup to feed her, but the Emperor took it, wanting to do it himself. At that moment, he was like a super dad. "Good girl, Cha-Cha, take a sip. Just one sip and you won't get a cold." Cha-Cha suddenly smelled something strange and quickly covered her mouth, refusing. Defeated, the Emperor had no choice but to coax her. "Come on, take a sip. Just one sip for Daddy, okay?" Seeing she still wouldn't drink it, Ning came over. "Your Majesty, let me try." She took the soup and stroked Cha-Cha's head. "Cha-Cha has caught a cold. If you don't drink this tonight, it will be worse tomorrow." She then whispered to her that if it got worse, she would have to drink medicine that was even more bitter than the ginger soup, and then she wouldn't even be able to eat meat. At this, Cha-Cha looked at her mother seriously. Huh? I can't even eat meat? Ning held the ginger soup and told Cha-Cha that she could only eat meat if she drank it. The little girl, for the sake of her favorite food, was about to take just one sip. But the next second, she smelled the awful smell and resolutely pushed the bowl away. Daddy, Mommy, Cha-Cha doesn't want to drink medicine. Defeated, the Emperor had no choice but to try to persuade her. If I could drink it for you, I would, but I can't. Be a good girl, Cha-Cha. Pinch your nose and drink it all down in one go. He was about to pinch her nose, but the little girl dodged back, yelling, No! Ning was sweating nervously. Your Majesty, maybe we could have the Imperial Kitchen make some sweet fermented rice soup? The Emperor thought this was a good idea, and immediately told Li Yu to have the kitchen send some over. At that moment, Cha-Cha pushed the Emperor's hand away and said, I want 2 bowls. The Emperor stroked her little head with a fond smile. Yes, 2 bowls. While they waited for the sweet soup, Ning tried to get her to drink the ginger soup again, but she couldn't fool the little girl, who refused once more. Thankfully, Li Yu arrived with the sweet soup. Cha-Cha snuggled in the Emperor's arms. I want Daddy to feed me. So the Emperor set her down and held the sweet soup. Cha-Cha, Daddy will feed you 1 spoonful of sweet soup, and then you drink 1 spoonful of ginger soup, okay? Cha-Cha sat there, pouting, clearly not willing. The Emperor then racked his brain and came up with a good idea. He would have a contest with her. 1 spoonful for Cha-Cha, 1 spoonful for Daddy, and they would see who could finish their 2 bowls first. The little girl immediately agreed. And so the Emperor pretended to drink his soup, coaxing Cha-Cha along. Gulp, gulp, he took a big mouthful. To win the contest, he even started drinking the ginger soup with a spoon. And just like that, with his trickery, all 3 bowls were soon empty. Ning announced happily, Our Cha-Cha wins! The little girl jumped for joy. The Emperor and Ning exchanged a look, thinking, finally, she drank it. Just then, Cha-Cha felt a tickle in her nose and let out a big sneeze. See, the ginger soup can drive away the cold, and it's already chased out the little boogers, Ning said, wiping her mouth with concern. The Emperor then gently asked Cha-Cha, Tell Daddy, how did you fall in? The little girl patted her back and said, Someone patted my back and then Cha-Cha fell in. Hearing this, the Emperor's face darkened with rage. Someone dared to push my daughter in. I will not let them get away with it. He then ordered Li Yu to immediately question everyone on the boat, find the person who pushed Cha-Cha, and throw them overboard. Murong Ying and Chongye were shocked to hear this. Someone pushed Cha-Cha? The Crown Prince then stepped forward. Father, it's been a while since my sister fell in. The culprit may have already taken the opportunity to escape. Why don't we pretend we don't know anything for now? Take everyone on the boat back to the palace for a thorough investigation and avoid alerting the real culprit? The Emperor thought this made sense and agreed. He then turned with a grim face and asked, Why was Cha-Cha at the stern all by herself without even a servant? Murong Ying and Chongye quickly apologized. We were the ones who took Cha-Cha to the stern to release lanterns. She wanted peanuts, and we both went to get them, leaving her alone. We failed to look after our little sister. Before they could finish, the Crown Prince dropped to his knees. Sir, the main fault lies with me. I failed to watch over my little sister. As her older brother, I cannot escape responsibility. I beg Father to revoke my title as Crown Prince. The Emperor asked him seriously, Have you thought this through? You won't regret it? The Crown Prince said with determination, I will not regret it. The Emperor felt a flicker of pride. He agreed on the surface, and then ordered everyone to return to the palace immediately for a full investigation. At the same time, in a house on the shore, a woman stood by the window watching everything. A voice from behind her scolded, Why did you push that little girl in? The woman turned around. I will destroy everything and everyone the Emperor loves. It's his fault for opposing you. The Prime Minister, Helen C., said to the woman, You must not be so impulsive again. It was not easy for me to get you into the palace, and now is the time when I need you. It turned out this woman was a noble consort in the harem. What were these 2 plotting?